you see get killed by bullets? Checkmate.
A lot.
Except for those ones. It really does depend, though, what anime you're watching.
Like a monster, several characters get shot.
Oh, Monster's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. But like that's an example of anime where several characters get shot to death.
Yeah. Monster is one I want to talk about, but it's also so long. It's going to be hard to get somebody.
Not only is it long, it's also dense. It's long and dense.
Yeah, I feel like I'd have to break that one up.
That's funny.
But seriously, it would take forever to do a stream on that because, like, you could do every couple episodes. You could do a whole stream on, and then there's like 60 episodes or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like if I ever get a point where I can do like multiple streams a week covering a show, that might be one of the shows to do it because I want to do that sometime with some show. Monster's a good one to do.
Yeah, that will not be one. That will not be one for this stream. I'll tell you that.
No, I'm talking about on my own channel.
Lulu, are we live yet?
Yeah,
we are live.
Yeah.
What the hell? You do this every time, so we're live now.
No, I just gotta promote the stream.
Are we live? I'm confused.
Yeah,
probably. Look, I just assume Lulu. The moment I get a call with Lulu, I assume we're live.
The stream yet, so
Every time I'm in the stream with Lulu, I swear he just doesn't say when we go live.
Well, that's what you have to do. Just say the N-word every 2 minutes, and if he values his channel, he'll let you know.
Oh God! All right, so this will be the official start of the stream because I always edit mine, unlike YouTube bozos.
Sounds like work.
Anyway, what were you guys' initial impressions of the movie?
4 out of 10.
Oh wow!
To put into perspective, though, 5 is an average movie for me. I don't grade it the way a lot of people do, where anything below a 6 is unredeemable. 5 is the average movie.
No, I get that. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10 myself. How about you, Lulu?
I give it like a 6. It's not bad.
It's okay. It's
okay.
I wonder if I would have liked it more without seeing the anime because it's obviously a much weaker adaptation, but the story itself, in the broad strokes, is still pretty good. So I just wonder if we would have rated it higher without having that comparison.
Weirdly enough, I think that the anime was more subtle than
it
storytelling, which is weird to say because usually it's not the case with anime.
A lot of the stuff was conveyed through visuals alone, where this movie didn't really utilize its visuals too well. A lot of it was down to explicit dialogue.
It felt like it wasn't as confident with its visuals. That's what I would say.
And once in a while, like with the when he was wearing the football armor, and it was like raining something, that was probably like the most confident I got with the visuals. What?
I kind of liked that scene.
It was the most visually competent the movie got.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the best way to do this is to say, if you are just joining us, if you missed our previous 2 streams, I'd recommend watching the anime and watching those to get a good idea or watching those 2 streams to get a good idea of what we're talking about. Because I think we can kind of leave the plot outside of where it differs from the anime here. But I'd also refer to our two streams, which can be found on Lulu's channel or either Iron or my channel. It differs.
So by the way, Lulu, you failed to properly put our channels in the description again. You do it every time.
God damn it.
Well, I expect this. I had my link ready. I got my link ready.
Hold on. Wait.
Wait, do I say it again? Wait a second. By the way, how shit is my mic?
It's fine.
It's
Okay,
not
refresh the
horrendous.
stream. It should be fixed.
Yep. I also posted my link in the chat.
Bruh. Okay, fair enough, actually.
I hope I posted the right link.
I mean, if you didn't keep fucking it up, he would probably have more confidence to not have to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get it next
But
week.
yeah,
4 times the charm, right?
Yep.
Did you guys feel like I do feel like it was a definite downgrade if we just stick to just talking about this versus the anime?
Well, why
feel
don't I think the best way to do this is to just go through the plot, compare it to how the anime did it, what we liked better, what we thought was worse, and what we thought was interesting. Like that kind of like format would probably be best for this movie.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
I think that's a good way to do it.
So the
alright,
movie,
Aaron, are you taking point?
I'll take point for now. So the movie started with him running from the zombies, right? Where, correct me if I'm wrong, the show started with him watching the zombie movie, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
the show starts with him
Well, I thought that was a much stronger intro. Like it showed you better where the character's headspace was at, right? Whereas like the zombie thing was just kind of, I guess, to grab your attention so you wouldn't like click away immediately because this is a streaming movie and that happens with these type of movies. It's not like when you buy a ticket, you're more likely to see it through. Whereas like a streaming movie, you don't grab their attention the first few minutes, they're likely going to click away and click on something else. So I think that's why they did the change. I think that is a business decision. I don't think it's a bad decision, but creatively, it's not strong.
I don't know, because I do think you get sort of the view of still exhausted Akira, and it does still give you the idea of like, who's this guy? Why does he look the way he does? Why is he living?
It definitely
this
still
way?
works, but I think it's not as strong as what the anime did.
Oh, you mean the running away? Yeah, I definitely.
I mean, I think the weakest part of this movie is honestly.
I mean, basically, yeah. I kind of dislike it because it was basically like, you know that meme where it's like, that's me, and you're probably wondering how I got in this position.
Oh yeah, what's it called? The
Uncharted.
Uncharted literally did the
Instead of,
meme like beat for beat. Did you guys see the Uncharted movie with Tom Holland?
No,
I did.
Literally how the movie starts. It's like you're probably wondering how I got here. Like, oh my god, he did the meme.
That's so cringe, dude. That's awful.
I kind of liked it, and kind of I thought it was like a 5 out of 10.
What, the Uncharted movie?
Yeah,
it was decent. I mean, I agree. I'd probably give it 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
I was very much against it when I was first watching it. It won me over by the end.
I think
is it worth watching? Can I watch it?
If you like the games, I definitely would, just to see like the characters come to life. As an action movie,
I'd say
it's
that.
like if you like popcorn, don't think about it too hard.
At least. It's interesting because I'd be interested in your perspective. It's kind of a generic adventure movie.
That's what I'm saying. If you like the genre, or you're just looking for something just kind of veg and watch, I would recommend it. It's not anything like that good, but like if you just want like to throw on some random movie and be mildly entertained, it's a good pick.
Okay, that's fair.
But back to the Zombie Hunter movie. I think the weakest part of the movie was the intro, just because the anime's intro was so strong. Like that, I don't think it really conveyed the oppressiveness of the work that well. I think it just seemed like a slightly more oppressive job than normal, right? Like the visual medium of him, like he looking like so distraught, and his body language really conveyed how much like defeating this job was. And the fact that he did it for 3 years rather than 1 year is just another minor detail that kind of like hit home how oppressive this job was.
There's other things where they do like, and from what I understand, this was less an adaptation of the anime and more an adaptation of the manga.
So is this actually closer to the manga than the anime was?
No. So they were both made at the same time.
Oh, that's interesting.
I knew that.
Yeah, or at roughly the same time. They had to have been in production at the same time, at least. But one of the things I didn't like is, all the scenes in the anime where he's getting lectured. They kind of strung those together to the point where you actually have the dialogue where it's like, don't go, why can't you decide anything for yourself and don't go off on your own? You actually
literally
have
back
that
to
in
back.
this. Yeah, you have that back to back, and it just felt goofy. Versus,
it felt silly. Whereas,
the anime, it felt like part of a montage where it's like, obviously, like the boss is yelling at him in different, different times and different situations about,
which made it doubly weird because this movie had montages, so they could have easily implemented an oppressive montage. You know what I mean?
I actually thought it had too many montages.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, you kind of have to with a movie like this because if they're going to try and fit in as much stuff as they did with its limited time. Remember, the show had 40 extra minutes to do this kind of stuff with. I mean, you could do a longer movie, but like that blows up the budget, and I think they knew that this wasn't going to be anything more than modestly successful at best.
I just think that the choices they made for this, like, I'd actually have rather the money that went to this go to season 2 of the anime.
Well, it's different studios though, right? It's not necessarily like.
Well, it would all have been financed by Netflix though.
Yeah, but
even still, like you would have a completely different team working on it, so the product would come out very different.
True.
Yeah, I guess. You know what I mean though. It's like I'd have read. Then again, I'm also. This might be another reason my score is lower. My view on this is this didn't have to. It's just an inferior version all around of the anime.
I will say I think Kensho was actually stronger in the movie than he was in the show.
No, I actually have the opposite view. I think they took a lot of the depth of his character out.
I mean, the reason. I mean, we can get more into it later. But I think the biggest
explore. That might be.
I think the biggest.
Talk about as we go.
You want to do a little bit now, or just save it till later?
Yeah. Well, I guess I want to know what you think is stronger.
I think he was more relevant to the plot. I mean, like he actually like, especially with the whole football thing, right? They had a setup and payoff for that. I think he got to be more than just a comedic relief. Like he got to do more serious stuff this time around, and I think. Agree. I think he was more than just a one-trick pony this time around. So, like, I actually, of all the characters, I think he was the one who was stronger.
I think that the core idea of his character, though, isn't, like, really... The most you get is at the end of the movie when he puts the comedian thing on the list. But he doesn't feel like he's as interested in actually entertaining and lifting people's spirits. In this one versus
I guess that's also something I was going to point out is this movie is, I think, kind of loses the point of the anime, right? It's not as optimistic as the anime was, right? They kind of toy with that idea, but they don't explore it nearly as meaningfully as the anime does. This felt more like your standard zombie movie, just with hype music playing rather than dramatic music. That felt like the only real difference.
Funny bits, yeah.
But I would say if we're going back to the plot, just to kind of keep us a bit on the rails.
And also, that's another thing I wanted to point out too. Is like, again, it's just comparing Kensho to his first 7 episodes, right? Kensho doesn't get a lot of meaningful depth until the last few episodes. So if you just take the first 7 episodes and compare it to this movie, I do think Kensho is more meaningful to the plot than he is to the first 7 episodes of the anime.
It's weird because I don't think he's necessarily that meaningful, Leroy. I think he has a bit of a better role here in that they seem to have wanted to like highlight his importance a bit more to the story, but I don't know. I feel like like I said, I think that them missing the core like goal and core part of the character's character where he wants to entertain people and he wants to make people happy, and he was doing that. That's what led him to sales, but then he realized it was all artificial, and that's why he hated the job.
What do you think of changing it from rugby to football? Because that seemed to.
That seems like
I think I know why they did it.
Rangi mentioned that it was kind of like to appeal to the American audiences, and I said I actually kind of like the change because it makes them more like it explains how like Akira is just like not afraid of the zombies and he just like runs through them and like fucking tosses them around.
You do that in rugby as well.
Too. Yeah,
but I think this is why I think they changed it rather than just to appeal to Americans. You can't throw the ball forward in rugby. In football, you can. So they made Kensho the quarterback, and they gave him the payoff of completing the pass with the batteries. You couldn't do that if it was rugby players.
True.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that's. I mean, that's why.
It still feels kind of I don't know. I felt like the whole Kensho stuff. I felt like they were trying to do something, and I could see that, and I was kind of okay with it, but it felt
he had a way more meaningful role against the Shark. Like he had the forklift battle with it. He made the final pass where he didn't before. Like I mean, like I think the Shark battle was definitely better in the movie than the anime. I think that's one of the only.
Yeah, I agree with that. The shark was cooler.
I was surprised. I like the fact. I was surprised they did the shark in the.
The shark felt actually like really menacing in the movie. Like you can tell they used most of the CGI budget on the shark because the shark actually looked pretty decent, whereas like the rest of the CGI in the movie looked awful. Like that plane crash was just so like fake looking. Holy crap!
I think that's why they kind of rely on not using too much CGI in the movie. As like Asian film market is pretty good with zombie makeup. I'll say that. Or at least
the zombie makeup looked pretty good. It's just the transformation process looked a little janky.
Yeah, it definitely did. This is the other thing with Asian stuff and zombies, though, is they make them a lot more fidgety than American zombie stuff.
Yeah, I did notice that.
They make it more like over dramatic.
I think it's a bit more menacing with like all the bone crackling sounds. Like, ooh, like
the bone crackling and then the twitching, it kind of comes across as like unnatural movement, and so it does set off something in your brain that like something's not right. I think that it works. It's just it's something I've noticed. Yeah, I like it. It's just something noticeably different, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of zombie movies, I guess I have to wait a while to see a few of them because some of my shortlist Lulu just told the ending in his video. I was trying to like help his channel out. He's like, "This is how this movie ends. This is how this movie ends." Like,
I'll tell you what, Iron. I'll throw you somewhere on my schedule for people to cover stuff with the next couple of months. You won't even be worried about zombie movies. You'll cover something else.
Okay, fair enough. But
you don't get a choice in this.
So we should probably get back to where were we in the movie? Oh yeah, he's at the office. That's where we're at right now.
Yep. He's at the office. You do get the impression of like, oh, it's a terrible workplace. It feels a bit. It's funny because it feels a bit less like. I think it feels a bit less horrific in that. So you get the less time in it, but also, I feel like it was very on the nose just to have Akira say, "Oh, it's an exploitative workplace."
Yeah, I feel like
very tame and on the nose.
Anime was more show than tell, and the movie was just, oh, it's an exploitative company, and I'm working overtime every day. Whereas, like the anime, we saw like all the bosses were abusive. You know, some of the bosses were like fucking molesting the women workers. You know, all the employees weren't allowed to go home for like a week straight. Like just like over the top, like fucked up shit.
I think you
the bloodline, right? That was Rangi's like favorite line.
What was it?
Like, come back to me when you're pissing blood.
Oh yeah.
That wasn't my favorite, but I did find it like really funny and like really. It's just
I think I was the one that said that was my favorite line.
but yeah, well, that's the funny thing. It feels like in the anime, the idea is like this is so normal to these people that they almost like internalized it already. Like it doesn't come. They gaslight themselves, and this is kind of what happens to a lot of people in bad situations, whether work or otherwise, where you kind of gaslight yourself and like, it's okay. You even
Yeah.
actually have a point in the anime where you get like Akira watching the thing after work, talking about exploitive companies, and he's like, "Oh yeah, working for an exploitive company must be shit." As he's like exhausted with like bags under his eyes, and
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
they change Gonzo's name to Kazuki or Kozukai?
They might have been using a family name versus a
Yeah, because I
personal
don't
name.
remember if Gonzo's last name was Kozukai, but they never called him Gonzo in this, or they called him Gonzo mainly in the anime.
Let me look that up. I'll do that while we talk.
Do you know what's funny, right? We were talking about how we wanted Gonzo to be the final villain in the anime, and we got our wish in the movie.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Shark was the final villain, but
Well, yeah,
know
but I meant like the final human antagonist was Gonzo, which I thought was interesting because, like
yeah.
we said, he was the stronger one, and I think
Ah,
he was the best. He was the best actor in the movie, in my opinion. The guy who played him.
yeah. So the character's name is
Although I would
Gonzo
have loved to see
Kozuki.
the school shooter in the movie.
Oh,
So
What?
so
what?
What
Gonzo
about
is his
what about
first.
school shooters?
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Rangi.
yeah. So Kozuki is his family name. Gonzo is his name.
Okay, so they called him Gonzo in the anime. And they called him Kozukai in the movie.
Yeah, Kazuki.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is probably more apt with Japanese formality. You usually don't use the first name of people unless you're personally well, I say the first name, the personal name, I don't know, I forget what it's called. But you don't use you use the family name unless you're close to somebody.
Which is funny because in Western culture, it's the opposite. You use the first name unless you're close to them, then you use the last name.
Even then, I think in Western culture, it's just generally seen as weird to use the last name.
Well, I mean, like for example, like you're on a sports team, you call your buddies by their last name. Or
Yeah.
like, no, I mean,
Yeah, military, sports, teaching,
yeah,
professor,
fraternity, like yeah, all that kind of
doctor,
stuff. Yeah.
like a lot. Actually, I feel like it's a lot of jobs that you are referred to your last name than first.
It would be weird in my job, but then again, I have an extremely common last name, so
Dox yourself, dox yourself, dox yourself.
Last name reveal. Last name reveal. Let's go.
obviously it's Smith.
I was gonna say, is it like Smith or Brown or White?
Yeah.
But,
It's something. It's one of the most common last names in America. I'll say that.
I mean, pretty much, I feel like everyone's got like friends or family who are like the last name Smith. I mean, I do. Like, it's such a super common last name.
Yeah.
Yep. It just one of those names, Smith, Tanner. It's probably because those were occupations in,
Yeah.
because
Well,
that's where
because
a lot of last names come from.
Well, because back in the day, unless you were a noble, or like royal, like you didn't have a last name. So like you'd be like Joe Tanner, Robert Smith, right? Like your last name was your profession. So people
Yep.
they called you your first name and then your profession. So that's why a lot of them eventually just became last names.
Yeah, the
Interesting.
my last name actually isn't that. My last name isn't Smith. I just used it as an example, as a joke.
Wait, your last name what?
Well, my last name isn't Smith, but I'm not gonna say it on stream.
His last name
Ah,
is Weeb. Rangi Weeb.
weeb.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that is my last name. You caught me.
we
So
knew it.
so we go through the office stuff. We do the Kensho conversation earlier. I mean, I guess they just didn't have the time
What
to
did
do
you
that.
guys think of the Kensho conversation? Because I don't know how I feel about it getting as aggressive as it did.
I mean, I think they were just because they
In
had
the
less
bar?
time. Yeah, they had less time to go through it, so I think they just kind of rushed it and made it as dramatic as possible.
But
Because
I
remember, there was like a 5+ minute scene in the anime.
Yeah, well, they're to the point where they're like, "Hey, let's go outside." Basically, they're like ready to fucking throw hands. That was where I was like, I don't know if I feel like this.
I think
Fit.
that was the case with a lot of the stuff in this movie. They made things over dramatic because they didn't have the time to be subtle, right? Like you could
Yeah.
really feel that missing 45 minutes. I mean, I certainly did.
Yeah.
Well, it felt like too. I think they could have cut out other things. You know,
Yeah,
there's
there was. I
definitely
mean,
things they could have cut down.
like the montages went on a lot longer. I thought they were going to. Like, each montage was like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh,
Uh,
okay.
Especially
Yeah,
because
they showed in the montages they showed some stuff that wasn't in the anime. Like
They did.
um,
I didn't mind that, but I
yeah,
felt
what's his
like
name? Akira, like showed him like doing graffiti, dyeing his hair, setting off fireworks, like I
also
don't
he
remember
was
that
really
anime.
good with that self portrait.
Oh, that self portrait
Yeah.
I think was the coolest part of either montage. I'm like, oh, that was
Yeah,
actually pretty
that
cool.
was cool. Yeah, I love
I
how
was
when he was
like,
dyeing
look,
his
you missed the
hair, there
calling,
was
Kira.
Yeah, he's
What?
like, yeah, nah, what?
yeah, he's dyeing his hair, and the zombie barber is just like shaking his head at him, like, nah, that looks ass.
Well,
Yeah,
the other funny thing I noted was not only she tied down, she's got like a scissors
scissors in her
stuck
neck.
into her
Yeah,
Scissors in
neck.
her neck, yeah. Yeah,
but
so they
Yeah.
cut
Oh,
a lot of like the zombie gags from the anime, but I'm glad that
yeah, like
they created that one because it kind of made up for it.
yeah, I was gonna say it's kind
oh
of
yeah.
hard to
I like
depict
that one.
zombies farting in live action. I don't know how they would have done that.
Hey, they could have done it. Okay, Z Nation
They
did it. All right.
they did that gag like 3 times in the anime. It was just like it was always so random, and then, like they never really like hung on the moment. It just happened, and they just like moved on, pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, the live action, a lot of zombie gags that they do are more visual in the form of like the outfits and stuff that zombies are wearing or how they're dressed or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think about a girl actually being in love with the boss?
I didn't like it.
Oh, I was the one that mentioned that in the group chat. I thought that was interesting.
Well,
I
I
thought it
thought
was
it was
interesting
weird
too. I
too.
don't know if I like it or not.
Yeah, you get the line from her about like, oh, what you want, and I was like, oh, so they're just being a bit less subtle, but yeah, she's sleeping her way to the top, where she wanted to actually like be doing something in the industry, but because it's more useful for her, she slept her way to like better success, and that's what I thought they were doing. And then when they have her be like, to the zombie later, you said you were gonna leave your wife for me.
Yeah, yeah, like
I, I,
very implied that
I
she
didn't
was.
like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought the thing that adds to the whole tragedy of the scene in the anime is that he was like controlling and using her, and he's like the one that bites her, and that just makes it like
Well,
extra sad in the
well,
anime.
I
So
always viewed it as quid pro quo. It's like, yeah,
Mhm.
he's using her, but she's also using him because she's
like
using it to have an easier life in the workplace.
I love that that they toned down like the sexually like like sexual assault like implied things in the movie, and then just like show straight up like zombie tits later, like that's objectively somehow better.
In
Like,
fact, I'd have rather they just showed normal woman tits.
like
So-
we're gonna tone down this movie for kids. You know, we don't want all that sexual assault stuff, but let's show a nude woman.
Multiple.
Multiple. Yeah, makes sense, bro. Makes sense. I was okay with them removing like Kensho's like naked bit. I feel like in live action that would have been like just
Super weird.
fucking
Super weird.
Like it would have made him look like a pedo.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's something that definitely wouldn't work in this medium.
yeah, agreed.
Same with the Black Clover guy. You know what I'm talking about? Rangi, did you watch Black Clover?
I have no idea
You know,
what that is.
this has a thing with a lot of like really popular shonen. I tend to
There's
watch
there's
them
a random
until
anime character or nude character.
No. I tend to watch them until I get bored, and then I stop watching them.
Fair.
No,
Did you watch
so
Black Clover?
this is why I always say I am like I'm a weeb, but then I'm a weeb in like the weirdest way. Where like, for example, I haven't watched any of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I've been.
We're gonna fix that. I'm going to make us watch all 6 parts, whether it takes 6 years.
But there's like specific like niche anime that I've like binged the hell out of. Like I've watched almost all of the Fate franchise, but I haven't touched, including some of the bad stuff. But I haven't touched like JoJo's or Gundam.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we'll be
similarly-
watching mainly anime and horror stuff. So
Yeah, that seems to be our current like bread and butter. Maybe we'll pick up something if something particularly good comes up. You know.
I'm gonna make us watch Dunkin' Egg,
I guess watch what?
the new Young and My Spider show.
You know what? I'm fine with that because it was.
It's only gonna be 6 episodes, I think. So
I was fine with that as long as you share your password with me for HBO.
yeah, okay, we can do that.
Or you know, whatever alternative way of watching it you decide.
Yarg.
Yeah, you mean the way I watch everything?
Tortuga, indeed.
But,
Tortuga.
Yeah. So yeah, she kills the boss, and then she turns into a zombie. I thought he was going to throw her out the window because I thought we were going to get that with her. Like,
Yeah,
no one got thrown out a window. I was so mad.
Oh wait, before that though, do you guys feel like this is something I felt was weird? Do you guys feel like they underplayed the rest of the universe but overplayed Akira's like attitude? Because that's what felt weird to me.
Sorry, what?
Akira felt more goofy in this than he does in the anime.
I don't think so.
No, I think he's the same level of goofy. I just think the rest of the world is more serious. I think the anime, a lot of the characters play along with it more, so it comes across as weirder.
Well, to an extent, but I think the anime also does the reverse, where a lot of characters play it super seriously, and then you have Akira who is goofy, and that.
Well, I think with the anime, right, for at least on the good guy side, the only super serious character really is Shizuka. I guess the dad at first, but then he turns out to be silly.
But I have things to say about Shizuka because she's probably the character I think is harmed the most in this episode.
I agree. I think Akira is definitely not as good as the anime, but is mostly same character. I think Kensho is actually.
Yeah, yep. I agree. Akira's probably the closest to his anime portrayal.
Yeah,
I agree.
Although I do think they casted well for each character. Like they all kind of fit. Like
Yeah, I think the casting
Yeah,
was pretty fine.
I didn't have a problem with the casting. I feel like I had more of a problem with the directing.
I'll just say,
Yeah.
the writing was okay. The casting was solid, but the direction I think was pretty lackluster, especially with how good the visual direction was in the anime. Like I said, the one time I was like, "Huh, it's actually like pretty competently directed." Was when he had the football gear and he was running through the zombies. Like that was pretty competently directed, but the rest of it kind of felt lackluster and aimless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was there
sure.
anything we want to talk about for the chase scene before he gets to Otori's apartment?
I think it's just underwhelming. I think the payoff is just
Yeah,
not
it
really
is
there. I
very
think
it's
it's like,
underwhelming.
oh
It's the
yeah,
worst.
I'm free, but like I feel like he didn't earn it. Whereas like in the anime, you felt the oppression and like you could feel the burden lifting off him with like the color change and like the change in his like facial and like body
Yeah.
animation, right? Like I
Yeah,
think they didn't
yeah,
do like,
all of the
all of that
visuals
combined.
basically.
Yeah, like the
the
visuals, the pacing, the music, right? I think was all much better portrayed in the anime, and all that working in tandem really made that moment powerful. Whereas in the anime or in the movie, it's like, yeah, okay.
he gets
Yeah.
over that one like fence, and then he's like, I don't have to go to work anymore, and he skips around through the circle for a minute.
Also,
and then he's
that
like,
was kind of a cool directional moment where the zombie is like, while he's like so wrapped up in his thoughts about killing himself, there's just a zombie that walks by in the background. I thought that was neat.
yeah. I always that was one of the things I kind of appreciate. I always appreciate visual
Subtly.
signs of the zombies existing before the official like end.
Reveal.
You know?
Yeah, because like obviously he was a zombie, but like it was just like how he walked and sounded, right? Like it wasn't like Akira reacting to him.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead is another example I would point to for that
I get
kind
to
of
see
thing.
that.
That does it really good.
That's why I had to stop watching Lulu's video because like I have only seen like 2 of the movies on that list, so he kept just like I can't too many spoilers.
You know what? You know what? Maybe
Usually
we
when I
have to
do,
do an
sorry, but usually when I do rankings, I just kind of like, I don't know. I thought I put a spoiler warning in the video, but I guess not. But I usually just assume that if you're watching a ranking, then you've seen like what's in it.
Dude, like that's
or you've seen the bulk. You've at least seen the bulk of like the genre, and you're like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like so like I don't know, when you have 10 movies from a genre, even if even if you've seen like 8 of them, that's still 2 of the movies you're getting spoiled, know what I mean?
Yeah, but also I put chapters, so you're like, oh, I haven't seen that movie, I'll skip it, you know?
Oh, I mean, I don't use chapters. I feel like
I was gonna say, come on,
it's like a big thing on YouTube. Like you can, whatever, man, whatever.
No, like, dude, it's totally fine.
You're a
It's
bitch.
like
You're a bitch. Stop being a monkey.
when I do mine, I try not to spoil because I just assume they haven't seen it.
Oh, my reviews are entirely spoilers, but my reviews are also multi-hour like streams. So I'm sorry if you're watching a multi-hour stream. If you're watching a stream on,
yeah, that is different. That's different
because you're going into it knowing what you're watching, right? You know what show you're covering. Like I had no idea what movies Lou was gonna pick, right? And like I seen of the first 5, I saw 2 of them, and then I got 3 spoiled. I'm like, after the Train to Busan one, because I was really interested in that. I'm like, well, I'm gonna stop watching now.
That's why I put chapters, you motherfucker.
Well, I'll remember that for next time.
Wait.
I put chapters on all my videos.
You've watched Train to Busan, but you haven't watched Shaun of the Dead?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch Train to Busan. So when I found out the ending, I'm like, oh, well, I guess I know how the ends now.
Okay,
it's mostly my fault because I kept watching after I already got like a couple of movies spoiled. But like that one, I actually was really interested in seeing. So
maybe we can cover Train to Busan. Put Train to Busan on the schedule.
Maybe later.
I don't know about that.
I was gonna say it's iffy because Lulu's probably covered it already.
Oh,
maybe I can abduct you for a stream on my channel for Train to Busan.
Yeah, I'd say you guys could do the stream. I'll pop in to give my thoughts on it. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
one of you could host that if you wanted to do it.
I don't plan on hosting until I get to 500 subs, but that's just a me thing.
Okay.
No, I'm happy. I'm happy to host. Because then I don't know.
Anyway,
Oh, no.
back to the movie. So yeah, so she kills the CEO, which I guess was more relevant for her to kill him because of the whole love affair thing.
Yeah, I
his
understood
love.
that. That was okay.
Yeah, it was fine. And then he cusses his love, runs away. And then that's pretty much like episode 1 of like where the anime was at. So then we get into we skip the beer run. We skip the beer run. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
They split the beer run because him going to Otori's, he
want to get
runs into
sauce.
the couple.
It's so much lamer. Oh, I want salt. Yeah. No, you should want beer. Who cares about salt? You want beer.
Well,
exactly.
no, hold on. So when it comes to the beer run, actually, I found it more insulting. Are we just gonna skip to that? I think it's just a montage there.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the montage and like
we
don't really need to rehash it. So, and they made Shizuka an alcoholic. Why?
No, this is one of the things that's funny to me.
Wait, the girl?
Yeah, they made her an alcoholic for like they never really did anything with her.
Well, no, wait, hold on. This is one of the things I have the biggest problem with in the whole show. Because remember, Shizuka in the anime, what's her big criticism? It's that Akira's done all of this for a beer run. And now they've made it.
Character.
They've made her the one. And not only that, but remember, Shizuka's whole thing was she's going over with needs over wants.
To be fair, Rangi, alcohol is a need. So let's also be clear about that.
You know what I mean? So the idea of it is, with her doing that, remember, she had the sake in her bag. It's not like a thing she looked at and then decided not to leave without, like it is in the anime. She had it in her thing.
Yeah, because they imply she's an alcoholic multiple times throughout this movie.
Yes. I do hate how, like, I know this is skipping to the end of the fucking movie, but at the end of the movie, when Akira says, "I'm gonna stay," she, like, kind of, tells Akira, like, her backstory, and we got none of that during that speech. I thought that was kind of dumb. Like, I missed.
Well, they didn't have the time, dude. Like, that would like to actually like make the backstory meaningful. You would need to add like another 20 minutes to this film. I guess, like I said, if Netflix was willing to spend the budget on an elaborate backstory, they definitely could have done it. It's just like this movie felt like it was made on a budget, and to add like half an hour to a film, or at least like 15 minutes, that's a lot of money extra.
True.
Then you have to cast an actor for the dad. You got to like
curious
make a new set for the house. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm very curious if Netflix was planning to do a second movie to do the second half of the anime.
I think they might have if this because I have no idea how Netflix measures success. Right? They
I think their standard the movie bombed. To be honest. So
it's harder, right? Because it's not about money; it's about like if they gained enough subscribers, right? Because like a show that was watched by a lot of people but gained 0 subscribers, is that necessarily better than a show that wasn't watched by that many people but gained a lot of subscribers, right? Like, probably the show that was watched by less people but gained more subscribers is the better one, no? Right? Like, because more subscribers equals more money. Watch hours doesn't really matter too much from a financial standpoint because they don't have ads. I mean,
yeah, which most people using Netflix don't. So
yeah, I mean, does Netflix even have an ad option? I know like Hulu does, and like a couple
they
other
do
groups.
now. I think they added a cheaper like ad option. But
okay, so I guess that would be the only. Yeah, most people don't use it, so I feel like they wouldn't care as much about watch hours because watch hours only really matters for ads. Now, obviously, more watch hours equals more subscribers typically, but that's not always the case.
Okay, no. I was okay. Sorry, I don't mean to change the subject, but I was looking up if like the movie was like a monumental failure, and
Mhm.
I saw a Reddit post as like r/Netflix, and
Mhm.
someone saying the movie failed because everyone like all the actors in the movie overact. I was like, bro, have you seen the fucking anime? Like
Yeah,
they
I was
didn't
gonna say
overact
it's
enough.
way more subtle than the anime in that
Yeah,
regard,
yeah,
anyway.
they didn't overact enough.
Yeah, I who was your favorite actor? Mine was Kosu guy. I think he did a pretty good job portraying the asshole boss.
Kensho, probably.
Yeah, he did good too. Like I said, I didn't think any actors did bad, but I think the character that like came closest to like the anime adaptation, I think was the boss. I think he did a good job of like breaking down the
Kosugi.
hero.
I think Kosugi felt like the most like
It's funny
believable.
because the boss, like in the movie, is completely different from the anime boss. Yet he's
Really?
great.
I don't think so. I think they're
But
very similar.
as far as the acting goes, there's an extent I believe because I think you can get away with a lot more extreme behavior in animated form versus
Yeah,
live action.
Iron. You seen
What?
Free Guy, right?
No. Oh wait, Free Guy. Yes, I
Oh
have.
God, I
Yeah,
hated that
you know
movie.
Taika Waititi's character. That's what I got off of the boss in the movie.
I did not get that at all.
So I did feel like Kosugi in this. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to it. Wait, where are we now, though?
I don't know. We
They're
could
at the
jump.
store. They're at the store.
Yeah, beer.
Okay, yeah, the store scene. That's like I said. So not only that, but I also did. What did you guys think of them making her more of an action Shizuka more of an action girl?
I
Because I
was
think
fine
it
with it.
causes. So I think I'd be fine with it, but I think it causes issue with how she then acts later on because so this is jumping a bit, but you know when they're in the store, they have her take the place of the third girl.
Yeah.
The well, the fact they kind of had her just throw away her baton in the scene before that for no reason.
Yeah, I mean that was just we need her to be defenseless in the next scene, so have her.
Yeah,
throw it
yeah.
back.
It was just so that she
Yeah.
couldn't just take out the zombie as soon as it woke up.
Yeah, it was. It's like, how do we make the plot happen? Oh, have her just throw it away. Yeah, that was probably the dumbest moment in the film. I remember watching it.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? Like, that made no sense.
Yeah, no,
Um,
because it's not like it's a big clunky weapon that like would
No,
hinder
it's
your
not going to
ability
slow her
to
down.
run.
She could have got. She could.
No.
She actually slowed herself down more by turning around and throwing it than keep running.
If anything, it would slow her down more for throwing it, and also just you can collapse if it is hindering you. You can collapse it. It's a collapsible baton.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I said, it was every way you think about it. It was just
Yeah.
a dumb scene. It slows her down, gets rid of her like best weapon, and that's not something she would do because like she would realize that it's beneficial to have that.
Yeah, but also in the store scene, another thing I didn't like. Because they kind of changed the zombies somewhat. They make them dumber.
Yeah, they make them because in the anime, sound was not the main thing they were
Well,
attracted to. It was
sound was
secondary
kind
thing.
of the main thing. You get remember the host club. You get that guy. Once the explosion happened, he's saved because the zombie turns around. But that's an extreme incident. That's the only.
As I say, it was not like just sound in general. It was like major like explosions or like like
Yeah.
because the zombies didn't react to stimuli as much in the anime as they typically do, whereas they really reacted to stimuli in the movie. Like every little sound like sent them in the opposite direction.
Well, it almost it didn't like the zombies were blind until sound came into it because there
Yeah,
was so many times where it was clear that the zombie could obviously see the character, but it didn't react like it could.
Well, they literally we're skipping to the end of the movie when she throws like the music players. They should have still just tackled her. I don't know why they go
that was the
her.
worst incident of this, actually.
It was, yeah.
Well, I think actually the store scene is also pretty bad because you get the zombie.
Like he was like on top of her and then left her to jump after the keychain.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because it's very inconsistent. Because jumping again to a later scene, later on when they're in the Don Quixote, the corner store.
I thought that was a liquor brand when they first said it.
Oh, well, it's funny because I recognize that store from one thing: the Yakuza games.
Oh, that's fun. One thing I noticed was
I didn't think it was an actual store.
I assumed it was. Like a lot of times when they put like places in video games, it's like based. It's either heavily based off of something or just the same thing.
Oh, I assumed it was based off of something, but I didn't think it was like the actual name of an actual store.
They do that occasionally, right. But
I thought it was like a McDonald's thing.
But before I forget, is why do they put newspaper in English on the door rather than in Japanese? So that was odd. Like at the CEO's door, the director. So when they zoom in on the door, and there's a little like slot for like newspaper, but instead of being in Japanese and having like an English subtitle, it just says newspaper on the door, like physically, like the Arabic numerals on it. I'm like, why wouldn't they use the Japanese signs? They're in Japan. Like that just really just like confused me.
There are times where Japanese people will just use Latin like words, or not Latin words but English words or like Spanish words, just because they think it sounds cool. But it did seem like it stood out to me too.
Like I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that was a thing they did there.
Oh, well, they do it sometimes, but this does not feel like it's one of those cases.
Because it feels like they would be like, here, this is where the newspaper goes. Like you would want people, because not everyone in Japan would know how to read English, even if they know how to speak it.
Yeah.
So with the store, another thing that stood out to me was
was there product placement, like when she drinks that drink?
No, that wasn't. Well, it seems like
it felt like product placement. They zoom in on the bottle, and you can see the label.
It did look like a commercial for some kind of like water brand.
I think it was like legitimately a product placement ad, because like they do that in movies. They pay a lot of money to show the label. Like, they'll have like a character in Transformers drink like a Pepsi or something.
With the action scene, the main character specifically says that compares Shizuka in this version, the action girl version of Shizuka. He specifically says Mia Jovovich.
Who is that?
You don't know?
It's a familiar name, but I can't picture her on the top of my head. I've heard the name before, but who is it?
Hold on, wait. Let me look her up
is she the actress,
so I don't look stupid.
Is she the actress who played?
Yeah. She portrays Alice. She portrays Alice in the Resident Evil films.
Oh yeah.
My God.
There's your Resident Evil reference, Lulu.
Yeah, Alice, the worst fucking self-insert of all time.
No, but what I
hate the 90s Resident Evil movies. Those fucking suck.
Yeah, well, it felt like such a niche thing for like a random Japanese citizen to know is the American. I think she's American, but
well, I don't know.
The Western actress of the Resident Evil film's name, and then to compare her to that just stood out to me. That's what I was talking about in the Discord earlier when I said Americanisms. I was like,
just like the the anime has a lot of like references to like zombie movies and games like Resident Evil, Z Nation, fucking Shaun of the Dead and shit. But the movie doesn't have any of that, so to have that be like the only reference is kind of odd.
Also, Mia Jovovich is apparently Ukrainian by birth, but she
Interesting.
was raised
Yeah.
in the United States.
But
yeah, well, yeah, she's like an American actor, but she's not American. Yeah,
Well, yeah, she's or at least she's not American by birth.
yeah.
But yeah, so like Schwarzenegger. But one thing I thought was interesting is that they really leaned into the football references. Like they had Akira wear a Packers shirt for like a good chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
That
Which
was
is
another thing I felt was
that's a base
fucking
pick.
weird.
I like the Packers. Aaron Rodgers is my favorite football player, so I
Yeah,
approve.
fuck you.
They wouldn't necessarily put that together unless you admitted it, which you did. The one last time was much more my fault.
All right,
And
but,
you go,
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on.
I was gonna say, cut here. End the cut here.
Yeah. But so in the store, we're done with the store scene, right? They do the action scene, and then there was the sound grenade, and then they go on their merry way, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah, they both go on their merry way. Like I said, I don't like that they changed it from a beer run to like the steak run or the run for seasoning, because I also think him leaving the roof to get seasoning makes no fucking sense, because now your steak has been sitting out there getting cold for
Yeah, I'd rather him just gotten beer. Like, come on, why'd we get rid of that?
Yeah, it's like, look, you've already cooked the steak.
Like, I'd rather him make the steak, and then he goes to crack a beer, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm out. Guess I gotta go get beer." And then, like, like in the anime. So
Yeah, it was a dumb change. I think that was, like I said, I think the beginning of this movie is easily the weakest part. I think the ending is a lot stronger. The second half of this movie is a lot stronger.
I agree.
I
First
think
half of this movie really sucks.
Yeah, I think the middle half is also very weak. I think the ending is the strongest part of the movie.
Yeah, once they get to the RV, it's probably when the movie starts to pick up.
Yeah, but I would also say that the RV
actually no. When they get to the Don Quixotes, when the movie starts to pick up.
Oh, I
Just,
don't like. There's a lot of.
Like it?
I said why I don't like it, because they had her throw her baton. Basically,
I'm
they
saying
let
right
the
after
zombie.
that, like that part's dumb. But like once the gates close, right from that
once
moment
once they get out of there, yeah.
I'm just saying, taking the dumb setup aside, I enjoyed the store scene.
I still felt like they could have done a lot more when the zombie woke up, because you kind of just have Akira and Shizuka do nothing as a result of being scared, unless they get 2 people killed. I don't know if I like that. I feel like they could have at least snuck over and tried to like warn the other 3 people in the room.
What scene are we talking about?
The Don Quixote scene. The scene in the corner store with the flight attendants.
With the flight attendants?
Yeah. Kira and Shizuka kind of do nothing about the zombie waking up when there's only one zombie. And they probably could actually... Both of them... Like, even though Shizuka doesn't have her baton, both of them have dealt with zombies. Hell, Akira has dealt with zombies with his bare hands before. They probably could deal with one zombie, but they just...
Yeah, I feel like that scene was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah. I feel like they're kind of responsible for. It would be one thing if he moved away while they were talking and they don't notice him, but they notice him and they do nothing, and therefore 2 people got killed.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like, oh, you can take down a whole building of zombies, but you can't take down one. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, like Akira doesn't immediately fucking shoulder charge this guy into the wall. Like he's done like 3 other zombies.
Yeah.
3 other zombies, at least one of which was bigger than him. Because the boss was bigger than him, at least bulk-wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, where we are now, we leave the store. What was the next scene? I think it was him finding the bloodied apartment. And then going back to his apartment. And then he, like, starts cleaning up.
Yeah, he cleans up, and then he realizes, like, he misses Kensho or whatever, and he, like, calls him.
I feel like we're missing something, but yeah, basically he does call.
Wait, are we going back in time?
Oh no! Wait, you're right, because he finds they moved the couples scene in this to the first to with Atori. Yeah, and the cleanup scene was after that. No, I got confused. Yeah, so after the store, what happens, Iron? Shit, because
after the store, he goes back, right? The couple scene plays out the same way it does, but then he calls what's his name? Kensho. I think he already cleaned up the room in the montage, right?
Yeah, he cleaned up the room already.
Yeah.
I think the couple scene also happened before that. But yeah, he does call Kensho. I think.
Oh no, the couple scene on the way to the store like played out the same way, and on the way back.
No, because the couple scene in the movie is done when he goes out to meet Atori.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
That's I think what threw us off. But yeah, he goes back and eventually he calls Kensho.
Yeah, so then that plays out very similar to the anime. It's probably the closest to the anime and how it like happens. It's pretty.
The only difference is we don't get like the rooftop jump.
Yeah,
you're right.
That was the best part too. So
we also do get the other big difference is we get the football gear theme.
Yes, that was pretty cool. I will give it. It was shot really well.
My favorite scene in the movie, probably.
Yeah, I think it's a good contender. It's shot like I said. It felt like whoever shot that scene was a different director than the rest of the movie because it was just way more confident than the rest of the movie was.
Yeah, my only problem I think is the problem of so they're trying to still do the tone swapping thing, and I think they don't do it very well. But I don't think it's isolated to this scene. I think you can point to a lot of other things before this.
Yeah, the balancing of the tone was done much better in the anime than the movie.
Yeah. And the problem
balancing tone's hard. It's like I won't hold it against the movie too much because some very good movies have trouble balancing tone. So it's like it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Because, it feels like they're also going for a bit more of a serious tone compared to how the anime is. Which
I agree. It's played a lot more straight than the anime is.
And that's kind of why...
It's a much more standard anime zombie story.
That's kind of why I felt like this scene, while I think it's my favorite scene in the first half, it felt weirdly out of place because it's a bit more goofy, but it also is still it's still, like I said in the last one, it's somebody actually armoring up the old zombies, even though the football armor isn't as good as like the football armor isn't as good, gonna be as good as the shark scene, obviously.
Although We're jumping ahead a bit. Why was the shark suit not
Mhm.
covering his whole face? I didn't get that. Like, it's supposed to be like a
Because the
scuba thing.
actor probably wanted their face on screen.
I get that, but like, wouldn't like
Oh
that make
no!
no
So
sense?
I
Like,
have made this.
the
You are
scuba
highlighting
suit.
some of my major problems with the whole shark, with the whole like second act. Uh, uh, not only does the shark suit not cover his
Have a
like whole
mouthpiece.
face, he
Like,
doesn't
it
have
wouldn't be an actual
mask
scuba suit.
down. No, not
But
only that, doesn't have the mask down fully. After the first time he has the mask on, like he raises it and then he never lowers it.
yeah, it's
But yeah, that's skipping
actor's
ahead a
face
bit.
got to show actor's face. I mean, the
Yep.
MCU has that problem with spades.
I was
And
gonna
they have all
say
these cool
MCU.
They have all these cool helmets, and they never wear them. Like Ant-Man 3 was a good example of that. Like every like freaking scene, they took the helmet off.
Also, though, we're only like 20 to 30 minutes in, and we're like an hour into the stream. Iron, are you sure this is gonna be the shortest?
Yes, because there's only we're an hour into the film.
True, and
Alright, back with us.
we've
We're
kind of
we're
covered.
almost halfway. There's like an hour and 15 left because we're at the part where him and Kensho reunited, and they're going to try to go to the aquarium.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to say that you can't say about the anime, other than you see a lot more of the process. This is actually one of the parts of the show I didn't mind too much. You see more of the process of him rescuing Kensho, and it feels like there's a lot more effort involved versus how it is in the anime, where
Yeah,
it
I think,
seems like it's effortless up until they have to do the building jump.
like I said, I think a lot of
Yeah.
the stuff surrounding Kensho is just better in the movie, including the rescue scene of him. Like
Yeah.
I think Kensho and his relationship to the plot is stronger in the movie than the anime. That's the one thing I'll give the anime or the movie credit for.
I agree.
But yeah, so then they want to go to the aquarium because I like how in the movie too it's more of like a reason why everyone's going to the aquarium, right? Because Gonzo or Kozakai is like advertising to get people there as a labor force, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually like that change where instead of him just having a random fucking like him having like a random ass warehouse in the middle of nowhere, it was like he was his business was the aquarium. I
Aquarium.
like that.
I think that was a really cool. I didn't really like the merging of the bus and the store scenes, but I did like the merging of the aquarium and the bus stop. I thought that was a cool merger. I think having Kozakai and the shark in the same like plot point, I think was pretty cool actually.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You're taking the two best villains from the show, the zombie shark and Gonzo, and putting them in like the same scene. I thought that was actually a really cool idea. I'm glad they did it.
Agreed.
Because I think the last half hour of this film is pretty strong. It's just everything up to that's pretty weak. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so we're at the I'm in the store because like we said, we already talked about her like throwing her baton away and all that. So they're in the store. Anyone want to take lead from here?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it's just a full. So not only do I think it's a full-on downgrade, I think that include aid of the anime scene. I actually do not. So I think they have to include Shizuka because they don't have as much time, with Shizuka to because it's a movie and not an anime. So they need to establish like a bit of a relationship, but the Shizuka stuff feels very rushed in general when it comes to the movie versus the anime. And the anime doesn't actually have that much of her, you know? Like, or at least for this, like, first, like, 7 episodes that this kind of cover it.
No, I mean, really, the only episodes she's not in are 1, 3, and 4. She's very present in 2, and then 5 through 12.
Yeah.
She is present, but the a lot of the stuff with her isn't included in the movie anyway.
Oh, are we talking about the movie? I thought we were talking about the anime.
Well, I'm kind of talking about both. So, I think you can afford to do the stuff. I think that, like I said, I think that in the movie versus the anime, he is like the worst off character. And a lot of that is, it's funny because they set her up as like this, the alcoholic kind of character, but then also she's still like taking watch while everyone else is getting drunk.
Yeah, that was weird that they made her, because remember there was the alcoholic flight attendant in the
Yes, there
uh
was.
and they kind of I thought they were gonna make her be the alcoholic flight attendant, but she doesn't die to the zombie kind of thing. But no, she doesn't even drink with them when she's the alcoholic. I thought that was a
Yeah,
strange choice.
she's taking watch, which I can believe of original Shizuka if she was
Not
in that scene in the anime, or
yeah,
but the movie Shizuka, it's to the point where she gives in to like having fun with them for the sake of just having a drink of sake.
yeah, like she goes to the hot
Yeah.
springs because she wants a drink.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I don't buy that version, this version of Shizuka would be like taking watch, like taking it into sort of word isolation. Not know if didn't know Shizuka from the anime.
Yeah.
This version I feel like would be absolutely tempted about the whole like drinking thing, and would probably be drinking alcohol with the crew, in a safe place. But okay, she doesn't. Maybe she is still somewhat logical. I can grant them that. Uh, it is supposed to be the core of the character that they care more about their needs versus their wants. So
Mhm.
whatever. Uh, Either way, yeah, she's away from the scene, and you have the two trying to flirt with the flight attendants. Uh,
And then
Akira's
I
trying
thought it
to
was so funny that Kensho pulls both of them. He's like,
Yeah,
"Sorry."
well, yeah. Yeah, I actually thought that was fine. I can believe it because,
Oh, yeah, I can too. I just thought it was hilarious.
yeah, this
Yeah.
version of Akira feels a lot more socially awkward, but Akira was socially awkward in the anime too. So,
I think it's because in an anime, right? Like you can't really portray body language as well as you can in live action, because you can, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, it's a lot harder because our brains understand like actual human body language a lot better than like a 2D one. That's why like the old Disney movies, they have to really over exaggerate the expressions because subtle body language on a drawing we're not going to catch as well. Whereas we do
True.
catch subtle body language on actual people. So that's why
that,
a lot like The Lion
there's
King and Beauty and the Beast are over exaggerated in their expressions because we're not going to catch the subtleties because our brain doesn't work that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a truth to that, and that I've definitely seen times where animation has caught like subtle stuff, but it is a lot harder to do because the brain is kind of wired to catch that stuff with like real people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, you can do the subtle stuff, but you're not going to usually catch that on a first watch. You know what I mean? Like it's something
True.
if someone points out to you or you've seen the show more than once, something you might pick up on. Whereas like they do it the way they do in Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and those kind of movies, so you do catch up on it on first watch. That's why they over exaggerate, so you do know how the characters are feeling. There's no mistake in the read. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, well, because you're also kind of catering to I feel like this sounds condescending, but you're catering to the lowest the the greatest common denominator, where uh, it's like the low info people, the people who aren't invested, you know, like the people who aren't going to be paying as much attention with that type of stuff, like obviously
people who would just want to watch it for entertainment value rather than like
low
artistic
investment, yeah.
thought
Low
and meaning.
investment viewers. That's probably the best way to put. Because I don't want to say it's like low intelligence people, because I don't think that's true
No,
necessarily. Yeah, I
like
think it's low investment.
Is this
because,
whole tangent just you dunking on children right now, Rangi? Is that what we're doing?
no, like
no.
Some
I think
kids.
children
Some
are
kids.
very, very invested in
no,
the
like, I
show.
understand what you mean. Like, there's movies I'll watch like that I really like just because they're entertaining and I don't have to think about the hidden meaning or whatever. And then there's other movies where like I specifically watch just to like contemplate about what is going on and like get the hidden meaning.
Yeah,
So it's like the show has that hidden meaning, artistic value to it, and then the movie's just entertaining. That's it.
yeah. It's a case of I do actively hate the whole turn your brain off mentality when it comes to like movies and stuff.
I
And
mean,
that's
the
Yeah.
kind of
occasional
more
movie
what
can
I'm
be fun with,
talking
like
about.
Godzilla versus Kong. I just wanted to see Big Monkey punch Big
Yeah,
Lizard.
I know, dude. That's
I
why I
wasn't
love the
there for
movie.
anything insightful.
I find that part entertaining. I don't think the movie's good, but I do think it's entertaining.
Oh no, it's not. And I think
Yeah.
like Godzilla -1 from what I've heard. I haven't seen it, but like it shows that you can have an interesting human plot line within a monster movie. However, a lot of the times for the bigger budget ones, people just want to see Big Monkey punch Big Lizard,
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
This is the problem with these higher budget like things, though. With you do have to like cater to the most common features. You know, you have to understand you're
you have
going
to
for
appeal to
wide
normies. If you're
Yeah,
doing a
yeah,
big budget movie, you have to appeal to normies. You just have to.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's also why a lot of like anime stuff, like a lot of normies find anime stuff cringe because a lot of anime stuff appeals to anime fans, and that stuff doesn't appeal to normies.
Shonen usually does the best because it's
Yeah, exactly. But if I
friendly, even though most like diehard weebs don't like most shonen.
Like,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
I think the most recent example I can give is I went to see Heretic, and that's like elevated horror, where the whole point is that you come out of the movie thinking about something. In this example, it's religion, and I imagine the movie will perform poorly, not because it's bad, it's a good movie, but the normal movie going audience doesn't want to fucking sit down and like have a midlife crisis for 2 hours. They'd rather just go see something fun and entertaining, which is why those movies perform better.
And then you get movies like Oppenheimer who almost make $1 billion.
Yeah, occasionally you have the intelligent movies that make a bunch of money, but that I feel like that's really rare nowadays.
I think also a lot of that had to do with the meme factor. I think Oppenheimer would have been successful regardless because Christopher Nolan has that name recognition, and World War II movies tend to do well just regardless of who's making it. Right? People love World War II movies. It's one of the most interesting eras of modern history, and there's so much you can do with it. And I think the combination of Christopher Nolan, it being a World War II movie, a stacked cast, and the meme factors, it's not that surprising. It did almost $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But okay, we were at the store scene. So Kensho takes the girls. They do that really funny flirt scene. The innuendos were just going through the roof in that scene. They were like they barely count as innuendos. It was so straightforward what they were doing there.
You also get the kind of wholesome scene of Shizuka patching up Akira's hand.
Yeah, that's the first example of you get of her wanting to be a doctor, right? Was that scene?
Yeah, at least for the movie, because obviously they
Yeah.
don't have as much time, and
Mhm.
I do feel like it's a bit more on the nose than the anime for like the setup of their
Well,
chemistry as
that's
well.
just. I think that's everything. This movie is a lot less subtle than the anime is, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
again funny because the anime is not particularly subtle itself.
I was gonna say, usually anime gets accused of being too on the nose. That's kind of why I find it really funny that the movie
Yeah.
is very very unsubtle in what it wants to do.
Yeah, because it wasn't a necessarily high bar to be more subtle. Like, I mean, there's some cool visual stuff they do in the show, but other than that, all the dialogue is very explicit, and they just did the same
Yeah,
thing, having
if
super explicit dialogue again.
if anything, I think the dialogue is too explicit, and my biggest example actually is if we want to just take a second to tangent back to episode 1, where Akira gets like the party, and then everyone's like finishes the drinking, and he's like, "All right, guys, yeah, this is great. I can't wait to work with you tomorrow." And everyone,
Yeah.
and they
All the key
explicitly.
badges drop. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So in the anime, yeah, it's all the key badges drop, and that's when he's like, "Wait, hold on." Versus in the movie, he explicitly says, "All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow." They're like, What are you fucking talking about? We're going back to work."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another thing
I,
that was interesting. The other than Ozakai Gonzo, the other workers showed up again later in the film.
oh yeah,
That was interesting.
that was interesting, but also they highlighted this is something we didn't talk about earlier, and I actually remembered I wanted to talk about. They kind of highlighted. Remember when they're doing that scene of them like at the bar. Uh, the other workers are a lot more explicitly kissing Gonzo's ass, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where there's a point where one of them is like, "Oh yeah, Gonzo's amazing." Yeah, it's like, "Oh really? What's amazing about him?" And he's like, "He's just amazing. He's like a living
Yeah.
god."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt it felt a lot more on the nose, but it was kind of funnier
hmm
because it was
Yeah.
more obvious what was happening there. Versus, I feel like the anime was a lot more like soulless corporate stooges where it's just like, yeah, we've got a quota to meet, you know?
Yeah. But
It's two different sides of coin that exists, you know?
mhm. And then
Yeah.
another thing that I thought was interesting is the neighbors came back. That was interesting too.
Oh yeah, no. Well, because
Yeah, they didn't. It's real
that
that they
felt
never died.
Yeah, they
that
survived
felt
the whole
weird.
thing.
Yeah, that felt weird because you've got like the shot of their apartment that's like all bloodied and stuff, and so I'm like, what happened? Because there's no bodies in there. There's no like zombie bodies. But
Well,
there's
was there
all
bodies? There wasn't bodies in the anime either, were there?
well, there wasn't, but the neighbors don't come back, so
Oh yeah,
you
because I
can
think that's
in
actually
some
smart
like,
on the
in
movie's
some.
part, is because in the show it's implied that they died, whereas you're led to believe that in the movie, and then it's like kind of a little surprise reveal that they're not dead. So I thought it was
Yeah,
kind of cool.
Yeah.
but then
Yeah,
you
I
have to
did like
ask
that.
where are the dead zombies though? Because there's still all this blood in the apartment. So where did that come from?
They
Who?
might they probably just escaped, right? Zombie blood is the same color as human blood.
But there's no zombie bodies.
Maybe they like removed the bodies from the apartment. I don't know. I mean, it's
Who
I mean
knows?
the one thing that both the anime and the movie never answered is how did the CEO get bit in his apartment?
Not-
I mean, we saw there were a lot of zombies just randomly around the apartment, so it's not that hard to believe.
But my point is right that like she wasn't like turned yet. He took a while to get there. You know what I mean? So like, did the boss like go outside, come back, get bit, come back in, shut the door, and because remember, there's no other zombies in the apartment. It's just the boss.
Yeah,
and her.
I think it's assumed he
movie.
got bit like on his way there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess.
maybe
It's just like but the door's
maybe
shut.
he
You know what I
got
mean? How
bit
did
and
no other
thought it was
zombies
like,
get into the room?
what I mean is maybe he got bit and thought it was like a random homeless person, on drugs,
Yeah.
and
I
then
guess. I
turned
mean,
while he was in.
I feel like it's just like you're just gonna have to
Yeah,
trust me,
it's
bro,
always
kind of moment.
because the whole thing happens so quick in Zom 100. That's probably one of the big problems with it. Is that
Yeah,
it
like
happens
day
so quick.
one, the majority of Tokyo is infected. Where I think that's a little bit unrealistic, even though they don't have guns.
Yeah.
Think?
Hmm?
Like, you think so? That it would be
I mean,
unrealistic?
I don't know, because Tokyo is like sardines. They're packed in there like sardines. So I feel like Tokyo probably would be the most realistic city to just get wiped out immediately because they're so packed on top of each other and there's no guns. I guess
Yeah.
if there was a city to be overrun in a day, Tokyo would be the one I would believe the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree.
anyway,
And technically, it
anyway.
takes 6 days because in both the anime and the movie, they say the power doesn't go out for 6 days.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the timeline. So yeah, those two have the scene, and that's interrupted by the zombie waking up. And this is one of my big problems: is they don't do anything about him. Because the chick has lost her baton, and I guess that means she has nothing. There's nothing else in the store you can use as a weapon, apparently.
Unlike all those glass bottles surrounding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
break one open and stab the zombie in the head.
Well, no, not even that. Just smack the zombie with the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a funny thing if it's like you have the dramatic scene of like the zombie in the like safe area getting up, and you think that it's gonna be like, oh, it's gonna like sneak up and bite somebody, and then it just gets smacked in the face with the bottle.
Well, here's the thing: these showrunners or movie runners really hate these flight attendants because they get brutally murdered in both adaptations.
Well,
They
Yeah.
spared everyone. They spared everyone else. They spared the coworkers. They spared the neighbors. They're like, nah, fuck the flight attendants. They're dying.
Yeah.
Well, also, there's
no,
to the story that they die. So.
I actually feel like one of the biggest problems is that Kencho survives versus the flight attendants, because but Kencho's there too, and the zombie just ignores him.
Yeah, he bites the girl. Like he has it's a 50-50 chance twice in a row, but he got really lucky because he basically could have went for Kencho twice in a row, and he went for the flight attendant.
Yeah, a little convenient, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
was it? If you do the math, it's 25% chance he survives that.
But also, yeah, Kencho is having a very clearly set up to be. Sex would have probably initiated in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, he got cock blocked by zombies, whereas
Yeah.
he scored in the anime. So,
oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the zombies.
Yeah, the setup is kind of, in general, I actually feel like we lose something not having the third flight attendant who
But she was the most important one. She has a really meaningful conversation with Akira that actually pushes him along his arc, whereas they're just kind of a gag in this movie. They really don't serve any meaningful purpose.
They're basically they're gag, and it's kind of just set up to be like a somewhat wholesome scene with Shizuka, which I think falls flat. I feel like Shizuka.
Yeah, the hot springs did it much better in the anime. That's where they have the breakthrough moment.
Well, also the thing with the anime is you have Shizuka being saved in the aquarium, and then you have her accepting to join them. While here, it's just basically, she was in a common situation with them in the thing. She conveniently ran away with them, and then like the pipe dream situation, she's going to happen to coincide with where they're going.
Yeah, it was premature.
Yeah, and I don't mind that necessarily if they didn't have the montage after that, after they get out of the corner store.
Yeah, a lot of
I felt like that hurt her development heavily because they have that, and then they have the hot spring scene where Kencho's like, "Oh, you're finally loosening up," and I'm like, "What do you mean? She was clearly loosening up in that whole montage you just had."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
they
like
definitely
they undid that, and it was dumb.
Yeah, it's like I would have been fine with the hot spring scene, and then having the montage be like part of the finale. Like have that be like the ending thing of them like.
Yeah, they
trying
really
out
could have just thrown that at the end. There's no reason they couldn't have put that at the end.
Well,
It could have been like
it's
you could have had the credits play while that was happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Because having that before the hot spring scene is actually it actively undermines Shizuka.
They did not seem to really understand her character. I think
Not at
she was
all.
definitely the most botched of all the characters. Like I said, Akira is more or less the same. Danzo is more or less the same. I mean, you disagree with me and Lulu on this one, but I think Kensho is actually better in the movie. But Shizuka is much worse. They don't get the point of
I think we can all agree Shizuka is like the victim of this whole like live action movie.
They kept like most of the undesirable traits and they cut most of the likable traits, right? She's just kind of a bitch throughout the movie and like doesn't do much to change that. And then she doesn't have the sad backstory. They just kind of hint at it. Like when she's like petting the dogs, like only the anime fans are gonna get that.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but then you also have the fact that I feel like her vice as far as things go in the anime is much more so if you look at it, so she has the mochi thing, the Sakura mochi in the store, which she then passes on, and you get the scene of her regretting that in the anime, and you get her interactions with Akira in the aquarium, and only then when they're going to get the RV, which the RV was extremely convenient in the anime. I actually feel like it's too convenient. Like, what are the fucking chances you're gonna find an RV in the middle of, as far as I know, they were still in Shinjuku or Akihabara. No, it was.
Wait, which one are you saying is more convenient, the anime or the movie?
Oh, no, so the movie, Kabukicho. No, they were in Kabukicho. Oh, fuck. No,
I mean,
that's a problem.
Also,
a random
I think it's fine. I mean, like...
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you can go.
I was going to say that it is convenient, but having an entire episode about getting an RV is just fucking unnecessary.
Well, it wasn't an entire episode about getting an RV. It was. A lot of,
it was only the first few minutes.
Yeah, it was the first few minutes, and then it was the setup for the Gonzo stuff.
Oh, okay, never mind. You're right.
Yeah,
but I think the reason why I don't have a problem with it is it's not like it was just like they're in the woods and there's just an RV there. Like there was cars everywhere that they could have took. It's just this just happened to be the one that had keys in it, right? They try like multiple cars first.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So I think the thing is,
RV, from what I understand about Tokyo, I feel like an RV is such like a weird vehicle to find in randomly in a or a red light district of Tokyo. You know?
Maybe it was a tourist. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit convenient, but it doesn't like take me out of the movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
but yeah.
I mean, especially since in like a few scenes prior, there was the just her throwing away the baton, so the next scene could happen.
Either way, I think we can highlight this, and then we can kind of, because it's just that really cringe montage. We can kind of talk about them getting into the RV, skip over the cringe montage, and just talk about like the Hot Springs episode was not nearly as good as the anime, and just doesn't work.
Well, I mean, the thing is, right? They kind of shove episodes 5, 6, and 7 all into like that last half-hour segment, but I
Yeah,
think it actually works. Like I said, like the part of this movie that works the best is the last like 30 minutes. Like I was actually like really engaged in the last half hour
uh,
because I think
I
mixing the aquarium and the bus stop plot lines I thought was actually kind of genius, and I think
yeah, that was I think the best idea of the show.
yeah, because I think most of the changes were neutral
Of
or
the movie.
negative. I think, like I said, the one positive change we talked about in the first half was the football helmet, um, like like fighting through the zombies. Like we all agreed that was better than how the anime did it. But I think this is only the second instance where like a major change was like better.
But yeah, as far as the RV, yeah, they make it to the RV after the girls are or not even defeated. They kind of just leave them zombified.
Yeah, I mean they do that a lot in the anime as well. Those leave behinds.
They do.
They did it with the flight attendants. They did it with the girlfriend or the love interest, right? Like they don't really
I,
kill a lot of zombies other than Beatrix, who's just not in the
well,
movie.
Beatrix and Akira later, because they're the two
Well, does
like
Kira really kill him? He just kind of knocks them down, and they just don't get back up. I mean, like, do zombies get knocked out? Like, can you kill a zombie with a punch? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
that's the funny thing is we don't really know if he kills them or not, but well, we know he
Yeah.
killed the boss because I don't think the zombie of his former boss survives.
Well, yeah, he pushed him out of a skyscraper, and he's not getting back up.
Like the top apartment of like a massive apartment, luxury.
Yeah, he fell like 10 stories at least. He's mush.
Yeah, but yeah, it's weird with the anime. We don't really know. We don't really know exactly how the zombies even work in the
So I
anime.
think one thing The Walking Dead does a good job is that like the zombies as they like age, they essentially they get weaker and easier to kill. Right?
yeah,
Like
they
fresh zombies.
decay. Yeah.
Yeah, fresh zombies you
Uh,
can't like really kill with blunt objects. You need like piercing damage. Whereas like
Yeah.
unless you have like a baseball bat, right? Something that can get like a lot of force. But then like the more decaying zombies you can just kind of kill with like your bare hands because they're like falling apart on top of you practically.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I've got something I've got to deal with.
Well, good.
Okay.
So we're at the basically the tire spikes. So again, the
Okay.
crash, but yeah, since there's no they abandoned the motorcycle. There's not really
Yeah, I
anyone
was
who
kind
needs
of
to be
sad
taken care
about
of.
that. I thought that motorcycle is like iconic. It's like they kind
Yeah,
of
it
just
looks
left
sick.
it, like, bruh.
Yeah. I guess it's just
I think
easier to film
I think I
without it.
would have like I like the start of the anime where Kensho gets injured, which forces Akira's hand.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I do think just the tire spike is dumb because they could have just gotten another vehicle. So
Well, no, because what happens is they get like kind of like taken. Know what I mean? Like they descend upon the vehicle and grab them. While they're all like delirious.
oh yeah, I gotcha.
They like wake up in the compound, but I think the
Yeah,
reason they
I
probably
just meant like
changed it.
later, like they could just leave, like at a
Well,
later point.
it's easy, way easier to leave in the anime than the movie, because in the movie they have the guard zombies.
Yeah. By the way, that is literally directly
The
stolen
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that completely. I wrote in my notes like this looks like it's ripped straight out of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, in Walking Dead, in the Negan's compound, I can't remember what the building's called. Sanctuary. The Sanctuary. He basically makes a boat of zombies. So like completely circles the building with zombies so that no one can get in unless they go through like a gate or whatever. So
I mean, it was pretty smart, right?
yeah.
To prevent robberies, right? They had a moat of zombies, and then they would distract them with sound, and then let the trucks in, and then they would close the gates.
Yeah. So, when it comes to the thing, the tire spikes, I actually have thoughts about that.
Well, the
I
reason
didn't
they
like it as
go on,
much. Yeah, I didn't like it as much. I felt like it took a bit of agency out from Akira. Because in the anime, the whole thing is Akira is suddenly like forced to decide between working with Gonzo again and letting his friend basically still, because his friend is hurt and he's kind of like forced into a position and he's also already panicking, and I thought that was much stronger versus Akira gets knocked out and just wakes up in.
Here's the thing, though. They do take agency away from Akira, but they give Kensho more agency. Like, he has way more agency in the movie than he does in episodes 5, 6, and 7. Like, Kensho actually is very relevant in this last half hour. He moves a lot of the plot along, whereas he's just kind of there as like a comedic distraction in episodes 5, 6, and 7.
I think it's one of those things where I don't know. I feel like I'd still want to see the convert. I feel like, and I think there's plenty they could have cut, especially from the last segment versus this, for to show us the interaction at least between Kensho and Gonzo to agree to like go into the aquarium and join their little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so then we meet the neighbors again. It was like a cool reveal. And then it plays out pretty similarly to how the anime does it, right? Like Akira starts to revert back to his corporate self, and then Kensho gets all angry and tries to do something about it, and then like this last time he was physically hurt, so he couldn't do anything about it. This time he gets stopped by the neighbors because they don't want him like causing trouble.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that change. So
yeah, because Kensho, I mean, the actor doesn't really look it, but he is supposed to be like a big dude. Like in the anime, like he's a big dude. So like,
yeah, in the anime, he's like off as hell. Yeah,
he's supposed to be physically imposing, which is funny that they don't do as much of that in the anime, whereas they do more of that in the movie, even though the actor is not that physically imposing. Like he just looks it because everyone else is so scrawny. Like everyone in this movie is scrawny as hell.
Yeah. Is Rangi here?
I'm here.
Yeah, Rangi's not in the
stream. Somebody was
your image on the stream just like disappeared. What the fuck?
I don't
back
know.
now. He's back.
Usually that only happens if you leave the call, so I didn't know. What the fuck?
Rangi got kidnapped. He got taken.
No, I was waiting for you guys. Well, I stepped away to use the bathroom, but then I came back, and then you were talking, so I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, what did you guys? So with that, I think there's a lot to say about the last 30 minutes. I think it's definitely the best part of the movie, and I think the highlight with Kensho is the forklift thing.
Well, I also really like that he's the one to throw batteries, right? Like it's kind of he couldn't make the pass, right? They lost the game because he like he succumbed to the pressure, right? Whereas here in a life or death moment, he came through for his friend where he wasn't able to in the past. I thought that was a cool little arc they did. And which is why they changed it from rugby to football, because again, you can't throw the ball forward in rugby.
Yeah, so I think that's where we differ, because I didn't like that little arc. I felt like it was a bit like silly, and I felt like it was a
in the anime, isn't it the woman that throws
Shizuka.
the bag?
You can't remember her name ever.
I was gonna say it was Shizuka throws it because this is kind of the first moment where she's fully trusting Akira in the anime. Versus which I do agree is changed here. I thought that the whole sports narrative, I don't know, I didn't think it really was very well thought out.
I'll disagree on that. I thought it was a nice little arc. Maybe that's because I'm more involved in sports than you are or were. So I connected with that probably better than you would have. So that might just be like a personal thing.
That might be it. It might be a personal thing. I
found it very relatable. So
I'm not a big sports ball fan.
Yeah. What about you, Lulu? What did you think? We have a like it, we have a don't like it. What did you think?
I like the football change, even though I don't like sports. I think it just makes more sense for the story because it makes them like.
Yeah, I think one change I did like they feel like more like friends, or at least like their bond felt closer, right?
It's like they felt more like teammates, and they felt like more like athletic. And yeah,
I think they felt more like a genuine relationship, right? I thought the relationship was a bit too cartoonish in the anime, right? Like it was probably the least grounded part of the anime. Their friendship, it was like Beavis and Butthead kind of thing, whereas like
I think their friendship is more believable in the movie.
Yeah, and like when they have their little reaction where he's like trying not to get teared up, and they're talking at the reunion, and he like awkwardly like reaches over to do the fist bump, right? Like I just think their friendship is much more believable in the movie than it is in the anime. I'm not saying the anime did a bad job. It's just it felt more absurdist, kind of like they were just kind of like it felt like cartoon characters when it was just those two, whereas they felt like real people in the movie.
I think it's just I don't know, it just something that rubbed me the wrong way.
Weeb.
Yeah, it was obvious. Yeah, it was obviously that they're. Look, I'm just saying that 2D is always better than 3D, no matter the circumstances.
I think the one thing that was interesting is the switch on focus relationships, because the main driving relationship in the anime is Akira and Shizuka, whereas in the movie it's Akira and Kensho. So I thought that was an interesting change.
I did
whether
like that.
Whether it was better, I can't say for sure, but I think it definitely changed the how the movie felt, right? The show felt a lot more of like kind of a romance like lens on it, whereas the movie felt more of like kind of a buddy pop kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it just because they put more emphasis on a different type of relationship in the movie rather than the anime.
I think it also helps the fact that with the movie they have less to focus on. It's the first half of the anime, which is kind of before Shizuka only becomes a major part. I do think that Kensho rebelling as he does, it's different in the movie because he's not the one he's not severely injured in the same way he was in the anime, because
like I said, I think
taken out of he's taken out of commission when they're at the truck stop for.
I mean, we talked about this last anime. Kensho, for as much screen time as he gets, doesn't get a whole lot of depth or agency, which I think it was nice to see him actually be important this time around. It came at the cost of Shizuka, unfortunately. Like, obviously, I would rather it had both characters feel like they were relevant and meaningfully explored. But I think it is kind of nice that we got to see kind of one story exploring more of Shizuka, one story exploring more of Kensho. So I guess there's that at least.
I'm kind of fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can kind of come around. I think Kensho is definitely more interesting in the movie versus the anime, because in the anime he's very much more the comic relief sort of distraction.
He's a gag character. He's a one-trick pony gag character. I mean, which are fine. It's just there's not as much to do with them because the whole point of them is they're a static character that does one thing over and over again.
And that one thing is getting naked.
Yes. Hey, if you're gonna make a character a one-trick pony, you might as well make it memorable, right?
Well, and you know what? You know what? This is one of the problems with the movie. He doesn't get naked a single time.
I think Rangi is salty.
Obviously.
Rangi was like, I'm not a anime purist. Also Rangi, I fucking hate live action anime adaptations.
No. But yeah, like I said, my big problem was that I felt like Shizuka was a lot more hollow, and
they shafted her character completely.
Yeah, and I actually think yes, they shaft her character because
I think the one redeeming thing is the actress does a pretty decent job with like nothing to work with, because they give her nothing to work with really, but the actress does a good job portraying what you would expect Shizuka to be like.
Yeah, I just thought I thought that the actress did a fine job. I just didn't think she had anything to work with. Yeah, that's basically it. Because it's weird. It felt more like she's just generic love interest that they have to include in this, versus it fills a lot more of the brains sort of role.
Well, that's the thing too. They don't really explore the love interest angle much at all in the movie. Like, there's alluding to it a couple times, but nowhere near as much as the anime.
Yeah, well, the anime has more time because a lot of the love interest stuff doesn't really fully kick off until the Hot Springs episode, which is after the aquarium and after Gonzo, really.
Yeah. I feel like this is gonna be a weird comparison, but they reduced her to a Laguerta role from Dexter, where Laguerta for 6 seasons straight, she's just like the sassy, annoying bitch in the background that no one likes. And then, like, occasionally she has one scene where, like, aw, she's a human. And I feel like that's what they did to fucking Shizuka. Where, like, she's, like, the annoying, sassy bitch in the background. And then you have the one scene where, like, oh, she is not a horrible person. And, you know, she's not annoying. And then it goes back. It just undoes that immediately after. So,
damn, Lou, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, so, going back to the plot, just because, you know, somebody has to draw us back. We're almost at the 2-hour mark, by the way.
And we're almost done, but we're also almost done the film, so I wasn't too far.
Yeah.
With seeing the aquarium as a whole, I guess just talking about just seeing the tour of the aquarium and seeing, like, how things are conducted there, what did you guys think about that?
I think the set was really cool. I think it was definitely the best set in the movie.
I liked the set. I thought it was the best set. It was clearly the set they spent the most on, and I think that makes sense.
I think they just spent most of the movie on the budget. Like, the zombies look the best in this scene. The zombie shark actually doesn't look that bad. Like, the early movie CGI was horrendous, so like the fact that the zombie shark actually looks pretty cool was surprising. And then, like, the set was just like, it felt like it was from a higher budget movie. Like, they felt like pretty top notch. So, like I said, I have mostly good things to say about this last half hour.
I think they got their money's worth out of the set too, because
Oh, for sure. I thought it
you
was.
get the scenes within the aquarium itself, and then you get the
Mhm.
scenes with the zombies like storming it. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they definitely got their money's worth because they kind of double dipped there. Where it's not just
But it
you
felt
know, it's
organic
not,
though, which was nice. Like it made
yeah.
sense they came back to that room. Whereas sometimes when you want to reuse a set, they kind of just like arbitrarily have characters go back there. But I think the plot kind of moved them back to that cool looking set in an organic way. Kind of looked like a mini
Yeah.
golf course too, which was fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it felt like a real aquarium. That is kind
Mhm.
of what I felt like. Uh,
Yeah.
as far as what I mean, though, with the aquarium is like kind of just the scenes where he's getting toured. I felt like, so I kind of liked that we got more recurring characters from the beginning of the movie, following Gonzo versus, like you got a lot of the crew members that the coworkers that he knew, and I think that
Mhm.
also probably helps with the effect on Akira versus
The baseball team.
versus the baseball team, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, especially
uh
since the baseball team wasn't really set up. Like that would have been cool if like Gonzo like kind of set that up by like dishing out work that he was supposed to do to go hang out with his baseball buddies. Right, that would have been an easy setup
yeah,
or
or
foreshadowing.
even he was like pushing work on other people in order to like the because corporate baseball teams are a thing in Japan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Corporate
I think
sports teams.
that would have been an easy layup to like foreshadow them, which I don't. I was for a show. It's like pretty good with that kind of stuff. I was surprised they didn't foreshadow that. I thought that was a
Yeah,
strange choice.
you could have had a scene of like, oh, Tendo, you need to cover this. I need you know, sh- Shinada for baseball practice today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have
So
fit
like,
that easily within the like work
mhm. And
on
it would have been really cool to like see the baseball team show up after that. Know what I mean? Like I feel like that and not setting up the main villain in the flashback in episode 3 were the two biggest missed opportunities for like easy foreshadowing that would have been subtle that you wouldn't necessarily have paid too much attention to. But then when it comes full circle, we're like, oh, they did set this up. That's pretty cool. Know what I mean,
Yeah. But
Yeah.
back to the movie, I liked that you got like recurring characters basically within this, and you also saw the employees more kissing up to
hmm
Kosugi in the movie versus I feel like in the anime where most of the coworkers are just in the same kind of grind as Akira, where it's
hmm
just like, yeah, we're all everything shit for all of us,
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, with Kosuge, I do feel like his role while he's oppressive, I think he's still done better in the anime because I think he's done a little bit more subtly in the anime, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can agree the anime was better, but I think he
I
felt a little
think they
bit
did a
more
good job.
realistic in the movie, right? Like the anime is a bit more over the top. Like what you wouldn't you're more likely to have a boss like the actor uh in the live action movie because he was a bit more subtle with his toxicity, right? Whereas like the one in the anime was like J. Jonah Jameson level over the top, which you don't really see as much.
Well, it's weird because it feels like he's more over the top to an extent, but he also feels like he's quicker to like pivot to the sort
Yeah, I
of
agree.
uh
He's better playing the nice side in the anime.
yeah, and I think that's what we didn't get to see as much in the movie.
Yeah, there was
Uh,
moments of it like,
yeah,
oh, good
well,
job, Kira or
the,
Tendo. You
the
like
thing I always the thing I always think too
beer.
is the dinner.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say the dinner scene in versus the beer scene in the anime because with the very scene, you get like it feels very overt. You've got this like feast on Kosugi's table versus like
Mhm.
the emergency rations on everyone else's table, and I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like, no, you aren't controlling these people with this overt display of decadence. You don't have the muscle. You have like maybe like 7 crew members versus
Yeah, because
like
like in the
what
in the
40
anime, he had an
people.
entire baseball team with bats. Where in here, it's just like he has like
Yeah.
5 guys who are
Well,
not particularly built.
even then, in the anime, it doesn't feel like he's like living up to the same extent. Like he's not like eating like full course meals while everyone's eating like shitty emergency rations. You know, uh,
Yeah.
they mention like, oh, he always has like the cold beer while he makes everyone else drink cold beer, and he sits out on like the hard jobs. But that's
Yeah.
different than I think like him pigging out on like a full course like feast.
Like we said, it's not as subtle as the anime. That's not particularly subtle. It's pretty funny that they struggled to be as subtle as a not particularly subtle anime. So I just
Yeah,
find it amusing.
yeah, that's kind of. But I still liked Kosugi. Well, I wouldn't say liked. I still thought Kosugi's character was a believable character because you absolutely
Mhm.
can believe there'd be somebody who's that asshole who is just clearly exploiting their power over the situation and their control over the situation. And
I also thought
I
he was the best acted in the movie. I thought the actor did a really good job.
definitely, definitely, yes, he was the best
He
acted
he chewed
character.
up the scenery as the asshole, and then he played the coward very believably as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, because he had the power. Well, it felt more overtly like he's just flaunting the fact that he has power over this place.
Mhm.
Uh, versus Gonzo, who's kind of like, oh, we just care so much about our friends. And Gonzo
Mhm.
clearly had to play more. I'm gonna separate them, Gonzo versus Kozuki, even though they're the same character.
It's an easy distinction. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I say Gonzo, I mean the
Mhm.
anime versus Kosugi. So Gonzo, he felt like he had to play more politically, like when he had the beer chilling thing,
Mhm.
where it's like the guys who are his muscle sees it and like, oh, here, boss, you're having a cool chill beer for us, and he's like, yeah, obviously. I thought you guys were working really hard, so I had Tendo chill some for you guys.
Lulu, let me know if you agree with this analogy. Gonzo is more like the governor, and then Kozuki is more like Negan, like how they rule.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that is.
Because Governor is like more straight up evil, where Negan is more like charming and somewhat empathetic. So
But the governor's also better at like faking being nice. Know what I mean? Like Negan's kind of what you
uh
get. Like the governor has like remember with that girl, like he kind of like charms her even though it's not really who he is, kind of thing.
yeah, he does manipulate a bunch of people into like fucking, murdering for him. So yeah.
So I think like that's what I mean. Whereas like the governor's a lot more two faced, right? But he's like he's a more like the anime character felt more evil than the movie
Yeah.
one. So I think he's
Oh
like
yeah,
kind of he like the anime one's like the governor where he's more evil, but he also has like an overly nice fake nice side. Whereas like
Yeah, exactly.
Kosuke is like Negan, where he's a bit more realistic. He's a bit more charismatic, but he's also what you see, what you get. Right? He doesn't really do the two faced thing as much. He's just an
He
asshole
doesn't
who walks around like he owns the place.
he doesn't try to hide who he is. Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, well, to the point where I
Except Brennan.
remember the tour. There's a couple of times where he specifically draws the attention of the crew member. I say the crew member. You know, the people who were wearing like the master shot.
Yeah,
Their
because those are the
uniform.
people who have the power, right?
Yeah, those are his capos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
he
capos.
draws
Yeah.
their attention so that they bow to him,
Hmm.
like in the movie, and I thought that was very noticeable that he does that because
Hmm.
it's very. I feel like the best way to put it is Gonzo is more like the corrupt politician in like a normal society, while Kosugi is more like the Stalin, the dictator.
It's like Two-Face versus the Penguin kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
There we go.
Exactly.
I'm killing it with the analogies right now.
Yeah, it's the mob boss versus the like manipulator.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And they do a bit more of the groveling before Kazuki thing, and then we cut away to the zombie getting off the bus and biting the worker, and then that starts the chain reaction.
I think one of the best scenes in this actually is we kind of skipped over it. It's the scene with Kencho while they're having dinner.
Yeah, we talked about that scene already.
Yeah, we did talk about that, but before we got to the scene.
We talked more about like the actual meal, but Kencho specifically is very bothered, and you get
we did talk about
from
this.
I don't think we talked about it specifically.
This might be when you were away.
Yeah, so what I'm specifically talking about is the couple.
Yeah, when the couple stops him. Yeah.
Yeah, the couple stops him because it's our team is going to be excommunicated.
We talked about this.
We definitely talked about this.
Did we?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if you were here for this, but like everything you said, we've already mentioned.
Okay, is this a bite? Well, I thought that was particularly sinister in like a different, more oppressive way than the anime.
Yeah. I don't know if we necessarily framed it that way, but we definitely did talk about the difference, and I think we did it more through the Kensho angle rather than the Kazuke angle.
That might be why I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, because we talked about it through Kensho's perspective rather than Kazuke's influence, right? We were talking more about Kensho's agency and how it changed versus the him being injured versus him being stopped by the couple who doesn't want his actions reflect upon them. That's kind of what we talked about.
Yeah. But what I mostly mean is the fact that it also shows that Kazuki is using a lot more oppressive tactics in that
the Andor tactics.
Yeah, it's your team. The people around you are going to be affected if you rebel, and so it's almost using morality against people.
I find it more believable that Kensho would rather not beat the boss's ass because a a pregnant married couple doesn't want to get kicked out, rather than him being like kind of injured. Because I feel like even if he was injured, he would like beat the shit out of the boss, which he does at the end of the movie. Like you fucking
that's another thing. Like I said, Kensho has agency throughout the whole movie, which is really nice because he doesn't do anything to move the plot along in the anime until he gets in his own boss fight. That's the only time he has like any agency in the whole show, which is kind of annoying.
It's more
in the show.
He just goes along with whatever. He's just like, well, I'll do whatever you guys want, kind of thing.
In the show, Shizuka is more of the one with agency here. Where
that's what I was about to say.
And I think it works in the show because Shizuka has her backstory, but obviously they can't afford to like give her that same like level of time for her backstory here.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they went with Kensho as the more prominent secondary character rather than Shizuka because he was the easier character to kind of explore with less time and less of a budget? Or do you think it was just they wanted to do something different and the easiest way to do that was to explore a different character? Like which of the two do you think is the reasoning behind why they focus more on Kensho than Shizuka?
Both.
I think it's both, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know how much. Yeah, I don't know how much they had to do.
It was definitely done on a tight budget because there's a lot of cheap looking elements. Like I said, the finale looks surprisingly competent, right? But like a lot of the stuff before that, it's like looks TV budget at best.
Yeah.
Film,
But
and it
yeah,
looks like fan film budget in certain places.
But yeah, so yeah, you get the zombie stuck into a truck. And did you guys feel like the zombie sneaking into the truck in this one felt like a lot more contrived? And I only say that because you get the guy clearly like would have heard the zombie dropping from the roof.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
is
know.
a bit more contrived. I mean, it's
Because in the anime, the zombie's already in the like. We don't see how he gets in, right?
Well, so you can assume that while the guy's on the phone because he left the car open, the zombie.
I think you see him
wandered.
climb in. I could be mistaken though.
Yeah,
I think there's
he
like a
basically wanders
scene
in
of that.
and the guy is on the phone while, and so
Doesn't
that's why he
notice,
doesn't
yeah.
notice. Yeah, versus this one, it's like he clearly notices like something clearly impacted the truck. He doesn't even bother to check, and he goes to the mirror and like he's like fixing his hair.
So
Yeah.
now, I mean, this is kind of like a hypothetical question, but is this a Japan thing or is this a world thing? Because like that is always an interesting thing when they have it like start in a specific area versus it just like the whole world is effective. No, I mean like sometimes there's a ground zero. So like is Japan ground zero in this world? Like what do you think?
I think.
I
Yeah,
don't
I think so.
think we ever get like that's one of those things with Zom 100. I don't think we ever get like news of what's happening outside of Japan.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
You could probably assume that things might be happening outside of Japan, but you could also assume that maybe other countries got it contained earlier.
And that's the thing too, right? It's like when you have a ground zero, I feel like a zombie apocalypse, like unless it take like that's the thing they never really talk about. It's like when one person turns, it would in today's day and age, right, with like social media, that would spread so fast. You know what I mean, that like I feel like it's not as believable that they like they get to other countries if it only originates in one spot. You know what I mean?
I always have a problem with this like idea that the military falls in the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, it's
I'm like,
so ridiculous.
no.
You know how
Guys with armored vehicles and like established tactic. Our military actively has plans in case of a zombie apocalypse, even though it's obviously not possible.
At least in this situation, it's believable because the zombies run and jump and there's no guns, so it's like the fuck are people gonna do?
You're
So-
dealing with Japan versus Texas.
Yeah, like in the U.S., there's more guns than people. I think it's I think
Yeah.
that's why I enjoy zombie media in other countries more because it just bugs me every time that like how quickly the U.S. falls when again there's more guns than people. Like these zombies are getting murked left and right.
Well, okay, like I can buy maybe like New York City. Maybe it falls, because there's so
Yeah.
many people and there's a lot more strict control on guns and this and that. And you're talking about like because you're talking about a city, like there's so many other sort of services that would be reliant on normal like normal like maintenance and normal like
Yeah, but outside of the Northeast and the West Coast, like it's like those zombies aren't getting anywhere. Like you try going out to the Midwest, they're just gonna get popped. Like, there's gonna be like it's gonna be like Korean rooftop snipers just picking off zombies left and right, just boom down, headshot, headshot, headshot.
My brother always jokes about this. In the Midwest, it'd become like a seasonal chore. Like, oh shit, we gotta clear out the zombies from the field again.
That's why, like, they don't make it like what's it called? They don't bother to explain it in The Walking Dead, where it's like Rick's in a coma for a month, and so it's implied that over that month, or Jesus fuck, holy sorry, I ran out of water. My voice is dying. Rick's in a coma for a month, and so it's assumed that over the course of that entire month is when the United States falls, not over one day. So like it does take time for the country to be overrun. It takes an entire
One
month.
thing,
So,
one thing I'll also give The Walking Dead credit for is that anytime anyone dies, they turn into a zombie. That's a huge difference. Like when it only
that's what makes
spread
it like
through
difficult to
bite.
keep it controlled. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if someone dies of old age while they're sleeping in bed next to you, boom, they bite you, and then you're a zombie too, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
it's
not
a
only
way.
that, just every hospital in America is just gonna immediately have been overrun. You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Like the fact that like it doesn't spread exclusively through bite makes it a lot more believable because people do just die, right, from all kinds of
Yeah.
things. But that fact that every single death causes a zombie makes it way more believable, which I do appreciate that Walking Dead did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, the zombie gets out, and am I the only one who felt like the the guys were more incompetent with trying to wrangle this zombie than
Well,
in the
it's a
anime?
different kind of incompetent, right? In the anime, they just all go into panic mode and run away, whereas in this, they try to tackle the zombie question mark. I
Yeah,
did not know what they were
they
doing.
get like bitten one by one.
Yeah, they were
Like,
both incompetent. It's just the anime was more believably incompetent.
yeah, because I can buy the like, oh, everyone panicked and ran away. Well, if they kept calm, they probably could have just killed the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And the new
it was
zombies.
two zombies. They could have easily took out two zombies, but everyone freaked out. Whereas
Yeah,
here,
well,
they actively like got themselves in biting range, which I thought was odd.
Yeah.
it's like at the point where the guy's already bitten, you're just gonna be like, oh well, shit. I'm just gonna bash the zombie's head in while it's dealing with Frank, and then I'm gonna bash Frank's head in so that I don't have
Yeah,
to deal with that. And you know what? Frank
but
will appreciate
yeah.
it because I didn't let him turn.
hmm But yeah, then while that's all going on, you have like the big confrontation, which Kensho initiates this time around rather than Shizuka, because again,
Yep.
they kind of give a lot of Shizuka's agency to Kensho, which is, I guess, a net neutral because it benefits one character and diminishes the other. But yeah, Kensho confronts the boss, and that's what kicks off the whole conversation. And then they do a lot of the same beat for beat stuff. It just doesn't hit as hard because you don't have the Shizuka backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah. You also just don't get enough with Kencho either, as far as like his own investment. I think in order to, I think hit the same notes.
I think it's completely believable why he does what he does, but it's not as like emotionally charged. Here it's just like it's a buddy sticking up for his friend, whereas Shizuka was kind of rejecting like a life's worth of programming, right? Like it's one hits a little bit harder than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think the fact that it's one of Shizuka's like major moments in the whole anime.
Mhm.
Well, because
Yeah,
you
like I
have
said,
her still go through the rant, but I don't think the rant is as powerful.
no, it's not. It's because you take out a lot of the context and makes it more meaningful.
Well,
Yeah.
also just the wording of it is very different, and it feels very weaker worded.
So I think they had to do that because
Yeah,
the
because you
other
don't get
speech
to
was
back
very
It was
particular in its
very
word choice
personal.
based
Yeah,
off of
it was.
the past. Yeah, it was a very personal speech where since we don't really know this Shizuka as well, it'd be kind of weird to get her like using personalized language when
Well,
if you didn't see the anime, it wouldn't make any sense.
This Shizuka was also never as principled as the original Shizuka. Remember, she had the sake bottle in her fucking her fucking basket to leave.
I
It's not
really
like
don't
the
know what they were
Sakura
doing with that. Because like they just kind of hint she's an alcoholic, and they use that as like a light motivation to get her to stay with the gang. But like,
What's
and there's
annoying?
never a moment where her alcoholism like causes her to have like an issue, right? Where she's like
Yeah.
too drunk to do something, or like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know why they included it if it really played no relevance in the story whatsoever.
Yeah, well, and I think it weakens her character because, like I said, with the Sakura Mochi, it's a thing of she's tempted and then she just doesn't give in, and then she regrets it later.
Yeah, I
in
agree.
the anime. Versus with the alcohol, she's just a hypocrite.
I agree.
Because the sake is much more detrimental to her than the Sakura Mochi, and definitely more detrimental than Akira, who's like picking up like
and
a
salt.
steak seasoning and salt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, salt could actually have like uses too outside of just
Yeah, it can
boosting
de-infect wounds and stuff like that.
your exactly.
But yeah, so I'm starting to get a bit tired, so let's move this along. So they had the confrontation. It plays out pretty similarly, but the difference is they're both get interrupted by zombies, right? This time you throw in the zombie shark on top of everything, which I think is pretty fun because you're mixing boss fights. Like Gonzo and the shark are both in the room, so it's like you get like kind of the man versus nature and man versus man at the same time. I think actually I will say this: I think him saving Gonzo from the shark is actually more meaningful than him saving Shizuka from the shark. I will die on that hill. Because here's the thing,
probably in that it kind of takes the payoff of him saving Gonzo in general and it just applies it to the aquarium scene.
But I think but the reason I think it's different is because this is him like showcasing his hero moment for the first time, just like in the anime. But instead of like his thing is save everyone, like that's the specific language they use. And the person he hates the most is in danger, and he risks his life to go save that person for like the first time he's testing out his hero dream. So I think that actually makes it more meaningful than a girl he likes anyway. Because he says it in the anime, he's like, I wasn't just saving anyone. I was saving a girl I have a crush on, essentially. Like he accidentally admits that to her, right? And she gets all flustered. So like it actually kind of it's a different kind of payoff, right? It's a more of a romantic payoff than like a character payoff. Whereas this one is strictly a character payoff. It shows that the type of man Akira is, he will save anyone no matter the danger, because that's just the type of guy he is.
And also
speaking of, we kind of touched on this before though, but the shark suit, then the super.
Yeah, it's not as cool. It doesn't look as practical. Like, where the hell is the scuba mask? Like, this is something that's supposed to be used underwater. But like, you gotta show the actor's face.
Yeah, well, he has kind of the goggles and stuff a bit. He has like a half mask, but
he needs the breathing apparatus. This is something you're supposed to take underwater.
Well, not only that, just the practical thing of him dealing with zombies with this. His face is exposed, his neck is kind of exposed.
I wrote
the zombies ignore that.
Like when he got tackled by the 4 zombies, like really none of them bit him in the face.
Extremely lucky that none of them bit him on the face.
Yeah, it's like that meme about Batman where it's like, bro, just shoot him in the mouth. What are you doing?
At least Batman's like a moving target, right? Like it's really hard to hit a moving target on a very small section. Right?
Well, also,
you
assume with a gun when you're shooting somebody, if you shoot them in the chest, it's instinctual to try to shoot for center mass. You know?
Yeah, because it's the easiest part to hit, and which is why he has the bat signal there, is to draw attention to it subconsciously, and that's the most heavily armored part of his suit. Like it's actually like a pretty cool like thing that he uses to like not die.
But the funny thing is, we've seen several zombies with like neck and face wounds too.
Well, we see a lot of humans get bit in the face throughout the movie. The flight attendants get bit in the face. Yeah,
exactly what I mean, and that's kind of why I was just like, you know, this is like a major weak spot of this thing. And the other fact is he raises the mask of it, making himself more of a target, like after the first appearance of the suit.
Yeah.
He doesn't put the mask back on.
Well, that's live action movie's gonna live action movie. Like I said, the MCU is like a huge This is one thing. Despite Deadpool and Wolverine being a very flawed movie, Ryan Reynolds keeps the mask on for most of the movie. Like, I will give him major props for that.
Yeah.
That's like really, really Chad move on his part because most actors, right, will want mandatory FaceTime because it's like good for their career. So like the fact that he's willing to like, I guess he doesn't need it as much as other actors, sure, but the fact that he's willing to like sacrifice that is pretty cool of him.
And also, well, that's a little different because Deadpool, the whole point of Deadpool is his dialogue and his voice. So while you're right, like, yeah, that is a Chad
For example,
move.
Spider-Man.
Also,
Spider-Man's mask.
character.
Spider-Man's mask is just as important as like Deadpool, probably even more important. And like Tom Holland takes his mask off constantly. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I will say that is dumb because especially in the first two where his identity is unknown, he's just out in public taking his mask off. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing?
That's what I mean. Like Spider-Man, like more so than any other character, the separation between superhero and like man, right? Like that's why in the comics it's a really big deal when his like mask gets like cut up and like it's like his face starts to get shown, right? It's like a huge moment. Whereas like in the Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland ones, they just take their masks off constantly. Like Toby, like in the Tobey Maguire ones, usually the only time he takes his mask off is for like really impactful moments, or like he gets like cut up by like the Green Goblin or something, right? Like I think they did a much better job with that.
Or he's unconscious and somebody else takes it off.
Yeah, that happens a couple times.
Yeah,
Oh,
that happened in 2. In Spider-Man
All right,
2.
so I think we should just wrap this up now because his phone died. So yeah, so yeah, so they fight the shark. We talked about how I liked Kencho throwing the pass rather than Shizuka. You didn't.
I wouldn't even say that part I'm neutral on. I feel like I wouldn't mind it so much if Shizuka got more in this show, because the most she gets is that like that scene with the throwing the megaphones either way, and I felt like that was really dumb.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was stupid, but
yeah,
so we're gonna wrap this up because kind of feels awkward going on without the host, but we were almost done anyway. But yeah, so they kill the shark, big hurrah moment. I liked how they didn't kill Gonzo. I was worried they were because him.
Oh yeah, well, him getting rammed across. Him getting rammed and then like going across the room. That's when I thought like, oh, are they gonna kill him?
Yeah, I was worried about that, and I'm glad they didn't because we discussed in the last stream, like it's way more thematically poignant for him to be abandoned by everyone he oppressed rather than just dying. So I think
it's really kind of worse for him in this because he's kind of crippled and he's abandoned.
Yeah, and he's like, I thought it was really funny him groveling to Akira. He's like, I'll even let you be the boss, right? Like it's like I thought that line was funny, and then
I'll make you a team lead. Basically, he's offering to make him a kappa.
Yeah. Oh, I thought he meant that he would be the boss. I guess I misunderstood that.
Yeah. Well, he said a team lead. So
yeah. So you're
the
right.
idea is he's trying to offer him to be like,
his right hand man.
Be like, you'll be like my right hand man. We can still do this. Obviously, my management is needed. And he is crippled. This is the thing. This Gonzo is kind of screwed in the future.
Yeah,
he's not going to be able to get away from zombies easily either.
Yeah, so he's just kind of trapped in his own prison of his own making. Pretty poetic ending and pretty justly fitting. So that was, and then they kind of drive off into the distance. Talk about like the stuff they're gonna want to do, which is pretty much how the anime ends. So they end the same. Just the only difference is Beatrix is not here. Rip your favorite character.
No big booba German lady.
Such a tragedy. Anyway, especially imagine who they would have casted. Whew. But
I don't know. That's probably why they couldn't, because there's not like a lot of
what the hell? Why is there a giant Lulu?
What?
It's on the stream. There's a giant Lulu like cutting across the screen.
But yeah, no. I'd imagine the reason that Beatrix isn't involved is because they couldn't cast anyone, because obviously you're dealing with like the Japanese film industry here.
Yeah, you would have to get
They have
a
to either
German
fly
woman who
in
knows Japanese, which would be somewhat challenging. But
and then they'd also have to make sure she has the right assets.
That's what Rangi's most concerned with.
Look, I'm a man of culture.
No, fair, very fair. But yeah, so I guess I'll wrap it up on Lulu's behalf. We are his favorite channels. That's why he has us on all the time. I think that's fair to say, right?
Lucas bribes.
Yeah, no, he doesn't pay us with your super chats. No, I actually mean that he doesn't pay us with your super chats.
Wait, no, you don't get to shoot me. You don't get to shoot me because you didn't make the goal. You didn't make the goal.
Yeah,
so I don't get shot. You have to shoot the monkey instead.
I love how like unhinged all of the ending of these streams become, because we're all just like so tired.
Wait, why am I getting tilted? No,
You're dead. You're dead. You're dead.
No, wait, no, we didn't make the goal. It was a dummy round.
All right. Well, okay. Well, I guess my
thank you very much.
You can check out our channels down below. Keep watching Lulu's stuff. He makes good stuff. We'll have one more stream in December. Something different. We're finally covering a different topic besides Zon 100. So.
Yep, and if you're interested in my content, I have a stream schedule planned for Friday of next week.
Oh my god, he's pinting us against each other. Yeah, go watch Rangi's Akira video, and I may have a couple more videos coming out if I can get them out. They're way behind schedule.
Next week, Friday, I'm streaming with a Brit the day after Thanksgiving.
That's ironic.
It'll be fun.
Okay,
it was intentional.
I think the Lulu's gun is giving us hints. It's time to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
We're done with the plugs. Yep. Thanks for watching, everyone, and remember, Lulu likes men.